again, take some of that away. But the nice thing about the oils, I could even just take my finger and glaze it. So, I mean, wouldn't that be kind of similar to maybe what you could do with acrylics? We'll do it again here. And that's all over wet paint. And if I wanted to, I could blend with this color that I just threw on here. I could do a lot of different things with it. Oh, I think I saw it. Dimitri recommend their paint medium. It's a quick dry. Now, I don't really get to see anybody's YouTube videos, but now, is that the guy that did the Sister of Battle? And I think it was about a month or a month and a half ago or something like that, and posted that. Let's do maybe some. Let's do something different here. So we're gonna get our cobalt blue, and we will mix ourselves a little bit of our cadmium with that. Yeah, maybe even a little bit of ultramarine blue with that. And that's just a crazy greenish color there. And we're just going to glaze with that right in here. Maybe these things should be more of a gold instead of just a... Yeah, we'll try and make those maybe a little bit more of a gold. But yeah, I'm just letting that greenish color, let it do its capillary action stuff like you do there. Let's grab some browns, maybe with the brown matter or alizarin. Yeah, let's get some of the reddish browns in here. That is our burnt umber as opposed to the raw umber. So you can go glaze, you can go the opposite of glaze on the same miniature. You're not stuck with one or the other, and it can all be wet into wet. Can't emphasize that enough. Yep, so that is the guy. Okay, I thought I was just losing my mind again. Well, there's not a lot left to lose anyways. It's mostly just gone. Gonna start the thing and see, look at that. Again, it's all wet, all nice and wet. We are going to do some glazing over here just to get some separation with the... We got these guys here too. Ah, yeah, we'll hit this thing, wherever that is. Some of our green, and look at the capillary action. Look how it's gone all the way around. That's why we can only put a little bit on there and then just let it do the rest. That, I'm gonna say that's probably some kind of a gold sort of a thing. So we'll just do that for right now. Again, just trying to do some glazy type stuff. Let's get a little bit of our indigo into this, make it even darker. There is no formula to this as far as how much it takes. Water, there's no formula. It just kind of happens. It's whatever you need to make it flow. Now, let me see. Stila says, have you tried the guy's technique for painting? Oh, look at this. We got just Dices in the house. So, well, I'm sure you're all following Dices. But if you're not, make sure that you do. Because, well, I think you're painting some more of those, some of those nifty little dragons, right? And of course, well, now did you guys got the airship fixed? So that's all good to go, and the next session on Friday, airship is all good for flying, hopefully. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep popping in some. Look at that, just to touch it there. Look what happens. Just touch it there and let it do its own thing, because it can do some neat stuff on its own. This is gonna be a little bit less glazy right here. Little less glazy for some of our metals here. Gonna throw this here. Take our brush. Gonna start blending because remember it went from a glaze to all of a sudden not looking very much like a glaze. We can make it even darker if we want. Let's see how much darker we can make that. And we always have, and remember any brush can be a blending brush. We'll just use this brush. And we're just gonna push this stuff around here. So that's it. Started out as a glaze, and all of a sudden, look at that. Not quite so much of a glaze anymore. We are going to just get enough, a little bit more of our liquid in there. Get this stuff to flow. We need to have this. Maybe have some. Oh, we need to get some greens in there. Look at that. See how that's starting to pick up the color that's already there? Hey there, John. How are you doing? Let's see. I've used Dimitri style thicker oil, resulting in much more robust. Again, everybody does their own thing. This is, he's probably maybe painting one miniature at a time, whereas for me, well, it's more than one figure at a time. It's like a whole bunch of sisters like this all at once. Yeah, let's just keep throwing them out here because we were painting all of these things as part of our latest army painting series. So let's just keep chucking these out here. Yeah, all 12 of them, whatever. So yeah, all of these being painted all at the same time. And that is, for me, the oil paints, that is what they are best served for, is painting everything all at the same time. And, well, of course, these weren't the only things that I was working on. We're also working on other stuff. Let's see. Oh, Greenleaf Terrain Studio. Let's see. You get in a heat wave too, sir. It was, well, it went from 90-something degrees to 65 degrees, and it took 80-mile-an-hour winds to do that. That is why this started later, because, yeah, the power was going down and all that kind of stuff. So again, these are part of the latest oil painting series right here. Let me see. He's strictly a display painter. Let's see, I'm too slow. I can only manage about 6 underway. Well, and again, yeah, we painted all of these guys, including the movement tray, in 9.5 hours, and we were able to get plenty of fun things going on. We really had some fun doing the tan horse. I really loved doing the tan horse. That was really very fun. He was a blast. And of course, you've got oh, and this, oh guys, this video is now up on YouTube here, so you can watch this on YouTube. That's the same exact oils that I'm using right now. That is now up on YouTube so that you can watch that. It sounds like kite flying weather. Well, the kites were pretty much people's trees and houses around here. Well, I don't think we necessarily got the 80-mile-an-hour winds that other people did, but there was definitely some crazy stuff going on. Now we're going to get a we'll touch more of our glazy thing going on in here. And how do we do that? Again, we're just going to touch the brush here. That's all it is. We're just touching the brush. We let that do its own thing. Look at this. We got Josh in the house. How are you doing? I hope that you were able to, whatever crazy weather has been bouncing around the country here, hopefully that hasn't impacted you quite too much. Going to get some darks even in his face there. Again, we just touch it to the surface. That is it. That's all we're doing. Just touch it to the surface there. So Spectrum, you've heard me, I mean, you know me, it's I say all the time, thicker paint sticks to thinner paint, and vice versa. So you can go either way. Some different miniatures call for different things. This is more, I didn't used to glaze this much, especially wet oils over wet oils. I just found that, you know what? It's kind of advantageous. It's not every single time, because maybe the miniature doesn't quite work the same way. That storm bust, that was a little bit less of the glazy type of things because, well, just the nature of it. There was a lot of open surfaces on that. So I didn't really have to so much. Let's see if I can't bring her back out here. So, I mean, as you can see, there's a lot of big open surfaces there. So I didn't really have to do so much with the glazy stuff on this right here. I was able to just kind of go straight up, just oils on oils there. Let's see, it was warm today. I need an ice block. Actually, what I have been doing is, well, because we only have window air conditioners here, and I have a couple of them here because this room is, well, closed off until Kathy's done with her D&D session. But you take, like you say, a block of ice and you put it in front of a fan, and actually that does help. Now, because of the weather we had come through here, tomorrow it's supposed to be in the high 70s, low 80s. Maybe even just the 70s. I hope it just stays in the 70s. I think if it wasn't that temperature here, it would be, oh, we're going to get a nice little reflection of this thing too, as well. Let's get ourselves some fun blues going on here, like, oh, I don't know, some cerulean mixed with our titanium white. Yeah, I had no idea what it was. I thought it was whatever the character that's blue or something like that. And then I went online and I found the references and I went, oh, okay, well, that's different than what I thought. And I know you can still see the VOD of that one. Yeah, you can still watch that. What are we going to do? Are we going to go this way? And then, yeah, we'll go lighter here and then darker. So again, we're taking it's less of the oil paint here. And we're going to go darker over here. Some of that indigo. Like so. And then we're going to take that, place the paint, push the paint like you do. There. Let's try a little bit of our cobalt violet here. This has been a color that I just really haven't been able to do very much with lately. Oh, you know what? That could be interesting for some of these type of things. All right. Now, the other thing. Where is my... Looking for my purple matter. Ah, there it is. And I think this is one I'm going to have to refill because we are running really low on this too. I'm just going to put that over there. Needed somewhere for it. I'm just going to throw it over there in the corner of the palette. The palette is a finite size, unfortunately. Can't go any bigger than that. I'll grab me a little bit of... Ah, there we go. So now I've got myself a touch of magenta here. Let's get some of our pinks in just a few places. Kind of has to do with where those blood vessels end up. Closer to the surface, further away from the surface. And we'll bounce around to some of our other ones too. Do the same thing. It's going to give it more of the, what was that, not Boris, what was it, Frazetta, right? That's the, we got all the greens and magenta, all the fun wild colors and all the skin tones and everything. Again, we're still working relatively dry here. I used to go always to the, if it's thinner paint, it is more liquefied. It's been thinned with the thinner and more and more and more, thinning the paint actually, instead of physically thinning it down with the liquid, I've just been using less of the paint. So you kind of get the same effect. Now, where did my... here it is. Just get a little bit more of our titanium white out here. Geez, I'm going to have to fill this thing up again. I might just have a big old container of this stuff just so that it's around. Start to think about maybe some lighter skin tones in a few places on this guy here. And again, with not too much of that paint. Place it and push it, as opposed to, oh, that was the other Book of Wappel thing. There's no layers in oil paints. Hashtag no layers. You don't need the layers. You can just put a color down, push it around, boom, there's a layer for you. Except one layer, you get really more like 3, maybe 4 out of that one color, just like we were doing on those horse guys. That was a big deal where we were getting 3, 4 layers for the price of one, and that's why we were able to finish all 4 of those guys in our 9.5-hour stream. And it's also another reason why the YouTube videos, there's no speed ramping or voiceovers or any of that kind of stuff, because that will truly let you know how long something takes. Because as soon as you get into speed ramping and all the voiceovers and everything else, it really distorts what's actually going on at the time. All the model, all the time. Work the whole surface all at once. These are some crazy freaking muscles on this dude, I gotta say that. Oh my goodness. Some wild and crazy muscles on him. And this is that same, these master strokes here, the red table from Dick Blick. This is a 0, and it has really been turning into a fun little, not just a blending brush, like a mid-sized blending brush, but also something that can work a little bit larger too. Now we're going to set him aside so we can get to a few other ones here. And we set this one aside so that we could let that paint just have a little time off by itself. Let some of our glazes, again, not dry, but just sort of sit in the proverbial proving drawer. Get a little bit of Terra Rosa back into there too, orange that up a touch. Let's get his arms here. Face, we will move on to your Daenerys over here, and we're going to do some glazy things on this too. Let's just do those now, actually, while I'm thinking about it. Just so we can have some different colors on here. Get some nice darks working. Oh, whatever. Oh, is this umber of some kind? Probably raw umber. Just letting it do its capillary thing. Oh, maybe a little olive green too. And what looks like some indigo. It just happens to be sitting over there. Let that flow, let it do what it's going to do. Let it do the capillary stuff. Just dots. Yeah, that's your Song of Ice and Fire, part of the Targaryen, part of the starter set, actually. I think there's two other heroes or something like that. They're part of the starter set. I could be wrong, but I think so. Oh, let's get a couple of more. Oh, what the heck? Let's do something crazy here. We'll take some of our cobalt violet and we'll just throw that into that here. Guess what was it? You had purple eyes or something like that. Spectrum says he ordered a couple of those brushes yesterday and some neomeglip. What's crazy about these guys is that, again, for acrylics, they are not really so fantabulous. But, man, when you go towards the oils, it's like it's a different freaking brush. I don't get, well, I do get it because, well, one is, when you hit it with the acrylics, it's gonna sponge bob on you. There's nothing, no doubt about it. It will sponge bob you. You know, I actually throw a little bit of that cobalt violet. I'm thinking this is probably going to be used mostly in skin tones. Not quite what I thought it was going to be used for, I must say. However, here, let's get some more of this down in our shadow areas. So that's probably something you're going to see more of, actually, is the cobalt violet in the skin tones, especially on your female skin tones, because that's sort of a nice little, yeah, it's a nice little blend right there. We'll let you sit off to the side now. Let's go back to Mr. Wizard here and see what we can do to start bringing in some lighter tones, at least on our object source lighting. We got cadmium yellow. A little bit of our fluorescent in there just to make sure it stays towards the orange here. To see what we can do to make some of this stuff a little lighter. Throw that right there. And it sticks because it is thick enough. That was super thin, all watered down and such with the thinner. Not going to have a whole lot of adhesion. Let's see. Croton Hurst, probably too busy swimming in his money from the show. Let's see, so George R. R. Martin never going to finish that series. Oh, okay, so about some red Kolinsky brushes. That is, let's put it this way. Some companies kind of fudge. Basically, instead of it being from the tail, it's from whatever it is, the weasel or whatever it's from that same animal, but it's maybe not quite from the part of it that they claim it is. So yeah, that can happen. That can definitely happen. We're going to push this around here. Now, place it and push it, right? Place it and push it. Now let's see, Crotonhurst probably too busy swimming in his money from the show, and now Snow Trudge really wants to try the oils. Well, just check out the YouTube channel and see all the different videos that are there. There's a ton of, look at that. Just a big old blob of paint, right? All of a sudden, not so much of a blob of paint. And remember, we have only just started working on these guys. We're going to be working on more figures here. We'll be working on more stuff tonight. And into the wee hours, like I said, we're only an hour and a half in here. This one's going to go for a little while. Now, I may need to take one of those pauses that refreshes, but we will continue after that. And sometimes the paint just says, you know what? You're going to have to wait. If you want paint to get here, you're just going to have to wait. Sometimes that happens. Yeah, one of us, one of us. You'll always be one of us. As long as you try those oils, that's it. You just got to try the oils. Oh, I see he's got some, maybe it's a key or something like that around his neck. Now, as always, just like the acrylic version of the fluorescent paints, it's gonna be very translucent. That's the thing you got to remember about the oils, is that they are just translucent. Which is why we take something like a cadmium orange-ish and put it with our, we put it with that, and what that does is it gives a little bit of support here, makes it a little more opaque. Not going to use that on my thumb palette. I'm just going to wipe that on my paper towel. Maybe let's go into some more like a skin tone type thing from Mr. Wizard here.
So say we all. So say we all.
Thank you so much. The backlog battles. Subscribe for 2 months. Here we go. And he's finally getting to see a live one. And Wappel says, thank you very much. That is appreciated. And Wizards, like, get out of here. I'll have to watch the videos to see a good starting point. I have a couple of oils I've used on tank for pin washes. Well, that is, I can show you. This is the very first time I used oil paints here on any figures at all. Right there, some Winter Americans. Now these guys, do you see the way I'm painting now? They were painted that way, where I just took the oil paints. It wasn't just glazes or whatever. Even that M18, that's actually a Facebook Live episode. But I painted 20 of these guys, and after 2-3 hours, I went, oh my gosh, look at how much of these I got done. Now, this is part of my Patreon series right here. All 72 of my Winter Russians were all painted entirely with oils. I had a blast with those. Here, let's get back up here. There we go. And we're going to we can go lighter with that. We're just, letting it do its thing right now. We are going to hit ourselves some darker glazes again. We're going to take that indigo. We're going to maybe take even some of our black here. We'll mix this up. I'm going to throw some glazes in here and darken some things down again. But we'll let that pin line, this is the pin line wash, that you recognize here. Just boom, like that. Oh, and actually, now this is not, this wasn't in oils, but I've got a couple of videos, and this was a live session that I did a while back, well, a couple of weeks back. So this is up on the YouTube channel right now. This is using the Green Stuff World acrylic liquid pigments to do some winter whitewash on this T28, and we did the same thing, but also did the snow effects on the SU122 over here. So this is also on the YouTube channel. There, let's get you back over there. Let's see, oils seem to me, from watching, a little bit more fluid and engaging. Well, the oils, it depends on, see, right now I've got these more like a, I don't want to say quite as thin as a MIG ammo filter, but they're definitely thinner. So we just place that. Now we're going to just start pushing some of that around just a bit. We're going to place some more. Here, let's get something here on our blade on the other side of this. We're going to take some of that, again, that cadmium, or sorry, cerulean blue, not cadmium blue. That'd be a neat trick. I'm not quite sure how you would do something like that. I guess you could. Let's grab some of our white again. We'll mix it with that cerulean blue here. And once again, we place it and then we push it. We're not going to just think about this differently than acrylics where you have these set layers. Oils don't have set layers. Not whatsoever. Place that, and then we're just going to push that stuff around, just like we're going to do over here. Then we're going to grab a little bit of our, that's our cobalt violet right there.
Who enters my domain?
But looky here, we got Orchrist Gaming in the house with the big raid. So, folks, I'm sure you're already following Orchrist, but if you're not, be sure to give him a follow and just let's welcome in our raiders here to our little oil painting extravaganza, where we've basically just kind of gotten started here. Now, we were an hour and a half in.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Thank you so much for the follow, Dummy Kitty Cat. Boy, those cats. Yes, I know our cat always definitely showed that not all cats are geniuses. He reminded us very often, like every day, that not all cats would be the equivalent of an Einstein, that's for sure. So we're working with oil paints here for all of the new folks. We actually got 4 miniatures going. Some of these were, well, this one was primed by somebody else. I don't even know what they used. These two on the right and the left, those were both brush-on primer. And the one in the center, the Daenerys, that was actually a more typical airbrush priming, basically. And we are just starting to, we're taking advantage of our initial glazes. We threw our more opaque colors over the top, and we did a little switch right here. We changed that to object source lighting. And yes, using a little bit of fluorescent oils. Let's see, Dummy Kitty Cat says, sadly, I only have an IQ of 3.5. Well, I have no idea what mine is, and I'm sure it would not be anything that shatters any kind of records. I'd like to think it could, but something tells me, nah. Now again, a lot of the stuff that we just put in here, you can see we can start to push that around, or reason why we're working on multiple figures is we set that one aside, and then we work on something else. Let's go back to this sky. We're going to take some of our cerulean blue mix here. We'll go back to some of our weapons here. I'm going to lighten some things up again. Minimal amounts of paint. Less is more, and more is way too much. And it gets to be way too much really fast. So again, I'm just doing a little bit of our little wet blendy type stuff here. We can take our titanium white if we want, and let's just give that a little bit more of a sharper edge. So Orchrist, hopefully you had a good stream. One of those where you actually maybe can get some stuff done as well. I'm sorry I wasn't able to catch that. We had, with all the crazy storms and stuff today, well, the internet was down, computers were off, and hilarity ensued. So I didn't get to watch anybody's stream, so hopefully you had a really good stream there. We're just going to take that, look, we're going to scumble that, mix that all together right there, get a nice little bit of OSL going. Drax, how are you doing? And folks, again, if you're not following Drax, follow Orchrist and Drax. You'll want to do that because they do lots of fun stuff. So, Drax, now did you, what was it you were doing on the next, because you had some of those guys were the space web, but what was some of the other ones going to be? I've already lost my mind on what you were going to do with the other set of those guys. Let's see. Orchrist going to finish 2 minis and got a lot of work on Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Blood Angels. Okay. I knew there was something. Now we're going to take a little bit of our titanium here, a little bit of our cadmium, a little bit cadmium yellow here, keeping it nice and dry. Again, all of this, we just did a glaze right here. You can see we got no problems putting on a bunch of fresh paint right here. Look at that. So that is all wet oils over wet oils. It doesn't have to be all slimy and going all over the place. But it's going to work out best if you just have less paint on there. That's why I can still keep paint right over this stuff, even though, quite literally, this is all wet oils over wet oils. If I wanted to, I could wipe every bit of this off of here. That is how wet this is. Just doesn't seem that way. doesn't seem that way the way we were painting this. But again, it has to be drier. We're going to hit this again here. Same area, same effect. Heck, I can even take some of this and put some of that on his face to make it a little bit lighter. Do we want to have, yeah, let's get into some of our metals over here. We got some of our cerulean, some of our white. So let's see, tonight is Monday, so Drex, you won't be streaming tonight, right? That's going to be tomorrow that you'll be streaming in the wee hours. Because, well, just with all the craziness of last week and already this week, somehow I thought it was Tuesday already. So I've already lost a day this week in my fragile brain. Or Chris Gaming putting up a sneak peek, so folks, be sure to go check out what Orchrist is showing there. And yeah, if I need to, I can throw a little bit of my thinner in there, make that flow even more. Starting to get ourselves a nice little bit of non-metallic metal. We get that to flow. Let's get some of our, let's not forget our cobalt violet here. Let's get some of that going. Oh, a little bit there. Maybe even a little bit there. Some of it in our gold too. We have been liking that in our skin tones, so we're going to keep doing that as well. But before I forget, I'm also going to get some of my green over here. And we're going to mix. Look at that nice green. So we've got our that cobalt violet color, and now we just threw in a very, shall we say, muted green into there. So we get that into our skin tones. Good thing we made that dark. It helps that gold to show up. We can reflect a little bit of green into that gold there. We can do the same on his hammer. That's the Spectrum 75. You don't buy cobalt violet and just let it sit around. Yeah, not at, well, let's see. I think, how much was this? Now, the regular price for that is, I think it's 43 to 45. I think I got it for 28 or something like that on Dick Blick. Oh, it's actually a cheap resin garden statue. I took it out of my mom's garden. Well, actually, I did get, this was before all of the craziness. I actually did get these fake bronze statues. They're actually just resin with a sort of a metal-ish type coating on them. And I got some of those so that I could actually do a bit of oil painting over. They were huge and they were cheap. So I don't know if I'll ever get to those. Now, there will be some new creature caster figures that I will be working on soon here as I get those prepped and ready to go. They are of substantial size, shall we say. Like as in freaking gargantuan. I'm going to get some more dark. I'm going to take my brown matter, mix that with indigo, because that has been just a fantastic dark combo. There we're even going to do a little more of our darker glazes here. This is a wet glaze. We just glazed something there, what would you say, half hour, 30 minutes ago, something like that, 35, 40 minutes ago. That's the Orchrist. Here's the Gloomhaven he finished up. Don't know what I'm going to do with the bases yet. And the customer didn't pay or mention anything for the bases. Well, they'll just have to do it themselves. Look at this. See, we're getting some nice shading here with glazes. It's all wet into wet. It's just this happens to be a bit more on the glazy side. And then we're going to take our lighter colors. We're certainly going to lighten that up too, but I'm going to take advantage of my glazing here. Yeah, that's a glaze. Because look at how thin that is. That is not thick, opaque oil paint, but it's covering. Why is it covering? Because I'm taking that indigo, that's being infused with the brown matter, and it's just making it that much. Look at how much darker this can be. Look at that. You know what? We're just going to make that by here. See where there's a lot of wet paint already, and see how I'm touching that in there? You see how it starts blending? Well, we can take even more advantage of that. We'll just make it like maybe it's reflecting his feet there. Look at what we're going to do. Look at that. You can't do that with an acrylic glaze. But with an oil glaze, yes, you can. I'm also going to, speaking of cobalt, I'm going to take some regular cobalt blue and throw some of that into here. And I'm just, it's very dry, but I'm letting it mix with what's already there. And now we get a little bit more of a sky blue color there. Now we're going to take some of this crazy green here, because there's going to be some green foliage over here. And yeah, we are going to throw a little bit of green in there. Look at all that stuff blend. Look at that. All kinds of blending. We can go even further with some more blending here. Oh, what do we got? We got a D8. How are you doing? Someone just rolled a D8. And he just rolled, the D8 just rolled in here. And hopefully it's an 8. Well, I don't know. Not all game systems. I know.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Thank you so much for the follow, Autofire. I know my baseball strategy game that I worked on, rolling very low was just as good as rolling very high. The worst you could do was roll in the middle because it was a 3d6 curve. The last thing you want to be doing was rolling a bunch of 3s and a bunch of 4s together. And I'll never forget the playtesting group when they watched me roll 2 1s and a 2, and they said, "Oh, so sad for you." And I went, "No, that's sad for you. Because that's a really great roll for me. And your 2 3s and a 4, well, that's a blankety blank roll for you. So enjoy." Gonna go back to my cerulean blue over here, and it's a dry mix there. And I'll show you just how, I mean, look at that. Look at how little paint is actually going on my arm there. Seems like a dry brush, but it most definitely is not. So how are you doing, D8? I hope it's been a decent day for you. Maybe a little less crazy than it's been for a lot of the folks dealing with all of the insane weather and everything else. We are going to get it. Yeah, let's get a couple of lighter things going on in some of our metal here. And now we're going to go the opposite way. Then we're going to do some of that darker glazing. Because sometimes you can only go so light before you have to start making it darker. Let's hit these handles here. Haven't really done anything with these yet. Still insane, but partial to insanity. And look at this. Look at this. Speaking of oils, we got teals in the house. Let's see. Well, I hope that it seemed like you were really last night, like you were doing some stuff and you're like, yeah, this is what I'm looking for. It really seemed like last night you were just hitting some things and you're like, yeah, this is what I like. So it was really cool to actually just because I've had those moments for myself, but it was really cool to see somebody else having those same kind of, oh, check this out moments. So folks, if you're not already following Teals, you need to do that because, well, he has begun his oils journey and he has been making some big time discoveries practically with every brush stroke. I mean, quite literally almost every brush stroke, and that's kind of how it should be with the oils, is that almost everything you do is sort of a leap into the unknown. And it's going to be because I've been doing oils, what was it, 4 years, somewhere around 1,200 miniatures, although I think by the end of this month that's going to be like 15,000 miniatures. But yeah, you are going to learn something every freaking time you touch these things, which is that's really cool. Now I'm taking, this is again that cobalt blue here. Look at that. We're just trying to get as many fun, different colors into our metals here. Remember, every brush can be a blending brush. Even this smaller brush can be. And we're going to blend these. We put it there. Now we're going to blend it there. What's happening over here? We need something lighter. We're going to take just some of our white here. We're going to place it there. Then we're going to push it around. We're just going to let that blend real nice like. And we're going to do some of that here too. Where is, let's see, that. Going to hit a little bit more on my white, and then we've got to, there it is. We had to do something on that under edge, and now we've got to get more separation here too. So yeah, we place that. Maybe we grab a bigger brush if we are going to blend this too. Yep, there we go. And look at that. It's starting to pick up some of that green that we put here. So look at our nice little, nice soft blend there. We got all kinds of nifty colors because there's, again, going to be a big old blob of green right there. Now I am going to just open up the door here so that I can get a little more circulation in this room because I do believe, yes indeed. That's going to be nice. Okay. If you hear more of a noise, that is the fan now trying to desperately blow cooler air into this room. So this is the ultramarine blue again. Now we're just going to look at that. Just a tiny bit. Doesn't take a lot. Oh, let me see. Do we have, oh, I thought we had Wicked Elf in the house too. Let's see. I need to find motivation to make more dice bags. I guess we're just going to have to try some more painting on the dice bags. That's just what it's going to have to be. Because, where did you go? Here you are. So now the dice bags, they're not going to be flat like this, but these same oil paints that I'm using, this is, here, let's make it round like you would have, so nice and round. This is what we were experimenting with, is can you paint the oils onto the dice bag material? And yes, you can, and the leathers loved it. Absolutely loved it. Because you can watch this on the YouTube channel. That was it was a YouTube Live. That's right. Now we need to get some more of our titanium white out here on the palette. Geez, I'm going to have to refill that container already. But what we're going to do, get some lighter highlights up here on these guys. Now, obviously that was just me painting oils on the dice bag, but when you check out the Armored Wolf Etsy page and you see some of the incredible effects that are done, blood effects, weathering effects, you've got so many textures on the bags, the metals, there's some bones on there. You'll get some teeth on there. You know, you're going to do an orc bag, you got to have teeth on that bag. But just actually, Armored Wolf, you gotta we gotta put your link there, your Etsy page link, so that people know where to get their dice bags. And folks, these are super high quality bags, so they hold a bunch of dice. And I know I was really looking forward to having my one for bolt action there, so that I could take the order dice out of it and do all that kind of fun stuff. Kathy's got her Nurgle dice bag. Now I'm going to take a little touch of that magenta, a little tiny touch of that Terra Rosa here. Go back into a few areas and really kind of juice up some of our skin tones here, because we haven't touched these in a while, which is good. It means that we can go back in here without necessarily wiping paint away or anything like that. None of those kind of scary, horrible things. We're going to also go back in here with some more of our greens as well. But first, I wanted to get some of these lighter tones in here. We're going to go even a bit later. Right along here. Yeah, just kind of bring out these crazy muscles. And these muscles are weird. Actually, these remind me. Yeah, okay. I guess, yeah, give it another shot on the Etsy shop link there. But do you remember oh gosh, this was still in the old Warhammer era when they tried redoing the Minotaurs, and the muscles on the Minotaurs were really weird. They were just real flat, and instead of being a muscle shape, it was like they just kind of drew some outlines. In some ways, the sculpting of this reminds me of those Minotaurs. So that can happen with commission things. I try to reiterate this all the time, and actually, Orcrist had to deal with the same thing. You know, you paint figures that maybe you don't necessarily like so much, and you have to paint them in a color scheme you may like a whole lot less. And I mean like a lot less. But that will be your life as a commission painter. That's how it goes. Okay. That was the Instagram. Okay. We're gonna go here. Let's get some lighter stuff going on onto his leg, as you do. I see we have to get some of our cerulean blue. Oh, maybe a little bit of the ultramarine there. Yeah, that helps. Now these guys, we are gonna go even a touch darker here. We've got our indigo, some of that cerulean, more indigo here. Boom, and really get some nice darks up on the top edge of those little armor plates there. I think we need to do that here too. Get some of our bluish gray. That's going to go here. Let's lighten up our cerulean blue. That is just such a fantastic kind of sky blue color. Let's see, the NMM seems so much easier to achieve with the oils, and you're not joking. Well, the object source lighting is too. Actually, basically even the freehand, that was the biggest surprise. I kind of wasn't sure about the object source lighting. I really wasn't too sure. But I mean, well, we did this one on a stream, right? And it was so easy to get that in there, and then especially on multi-light source things like this. It was just so much easier to get all of that in there with the oils. Oh, Teals has to take off. Well, I will, hopefully I'll be able to catch your next stream, but thanks for dropping in, and I'll see you next time. Let's see, Snow Trudger has to also take off and get some sleep. Yep, Snow Trudge, definitely check those out because, well, and there's a lot more coming. I mean, basically, there is a lot more coming and more historical stuff too. Oh, and check out the Bolt Action Battle Reports. There's 4 Bolt Action Battle Reports on the channel. Hopefully, if things go the way I'd like them to go, maybe I actually get to live stream Bolt Action games here on Twitch. That would be a goal. But I'll catch you later. Good night. Holy smokes, Drex, they still have those same nasty sculpts? Man. Well, that doesn't necessarily surprise me. But those things were brutal, and those are not like 30-year-old sculpts either. I mean, those ain't that old. Well, I guess now they are, maybe. But they're not that old. But those were horrible. I know Kathy was not happy with those whatsoever. And I think at the time she was still thinking about having a Beastman army or whatever. And then they wheeled out those guys, and that was a whole lot of nope. So again, I'm using some of my green here, letting that mix in with the gold. Look, we got Yesik is back. How are you doing? Hopefully everything is fine where you are. Let's start to get some lighter stuff in the hair, and that's going to be, we're going to mess with our cadmium scarlet here. Just get a little bit of a craft brush going with some of that. Maybe a little Terra Rosa to keep it from getting too bright too fast. But it's got to be relatively dry so that we can do this. Look at that. That is wet oils over wet oil, like layers of wet oils is already there. Yet, it's sort of working a little bit like acrylics might, except you're also getting actual wet blending there, which you wouldn't with the acrylics. It would just kind of be sitting over the top and almost giving you the telltale dry brush signature. Now we're not going to lighten this with the cadmium yellow. We're going to lighten that with a little yellow ochre instead. And we'll hit this with some more highlights. Let's see, surviving, just finished supporting the world's most complicated base. 7 hours of work on one base. Supports, I think I would rather smash my face into a brick wall for a couple of weeks rather than try and do supports for a couple of weeks. I mean, I know experts with the supports. You have all kinds of shortcuts and other things that you can do. But just having had one quick little lesson in that, and I went, oh my goodness. The tedium would drive me insane. So anyone who does that like all the time, that is heroic type stuff right there. That really is. So here, let's get him some nice flowing red hair. And all the while, what have we been waiting on? We've been waiting on him, letting the paint sit a little bit more on him, and we're also been letting the paint sit over on this guy here so that we can do some fun things on him too. But now we're not going to just rely exclusively on something like that as we welcome in Cosplaying Kitten. How are you doing? You did stream earlier tonight, I'm pretty sure, right? Actually, how did you do with the storms? That's actually, that is a bigger question, because I'm still trying to determine if we necessarily got the 80-mile-an-hour winds. I don't think we did, but there's way too many people I know that had trees fall down and power knocked out and all that kind of stuff. Tedious but rewarding. That has to just be, man, I can't even imagine. Of course, it's like anything, like you say, if it's something that you just do every day, you just kind of gear up for it and you know how to deal with it. Oh, thanks, cosplaying kitten. I figured, if we've been showing the sisters all the time during all the streams, and then I was showing on the sisters, and I went, wait a minute. This thing here, to me, that said that it could be glowy, and we just want to have some fun with that. So we did a quick little change. We just took our makeup sponges and we wiped the paint away, and then we just kind of started up again. Came quick, blowing things everywhere. Yeah, because I was. That's why this is started later. This was supposed to start much earlier, but now the power didn't go out here. There was a fluctuation, but that's still enough to make me have to turn off all the machines before it happens, and then start everything back up again, and the internet to go back on, all that kind of stuff. Yes, I have a battery backup that I've never been able to had the time to hook up because, well, Twitch happened and all the other stuff happened. Hopefully you didn't end up losing power and all that kind and all the crazy trees down that I keep seeing all over the place. Now let's see. Let's get some of the we need to keep getting some of that green in his face here. Especially right here. And we're just going to let that mix with what's already there. This is that wonderful part about the oils. Makes the skin tone so much easier to do. Because if you want to get those grains in there, well, what's the big deal? You just literally blend it right in there, and away you go. Film noir. Let's see. I need 3 to 4 battery backup. Yeah, I've got the one. It's supposed to be mostly for the internet. We have laptops that we use for rendering and stuff because, well, if the power goes out, you could potentially have a couple hours of battery on those anyways. So let's go film noir. Let's just paint him now, and this is going to be good because, well, if we're painting some magentas and other... Oh, yeah, you won't be able to see this, will you? This is going to be very sneaky now. Yeah. We're going to give him a little bit of a red nose here, which you can't even see because it's black and white. And don't adjust your screen. Do not adjust your screen. We have taken away the color ourselves. We're going to get some light here into his eyes. Like so. Then we're going to get some of our warmer, lighter skin tones here. And oh yeah, that is definitely lighter. And hopefully that green really does start to stand out now. And what's the deal with the film noir? Is it what's going on with that? What's the big deal about that? Well, when those folks tell you make it pop, you're asking for constructive criticism or whatever on your miniatures, and they'll just say, well, more contrast, make it pop. What the heck are they talking about? What do they mean? Well, this is the classic example here. Let's just grab something that, I don't know, like this. And you can see that there's definitely lights there. You got lights and darks and shadows and all that kind of neat stuff. But when we bring back the color, well, that looks a little bit different now, does it? Now you start to see. That is what I mean. Color contrast versus value contrast. So we can take away that color again here. That's it. Well, here's another example. So you see plenty of lights and plenty of lights and darks and shadows. You can even see the object source lighting there. If we bring back our color, yeah, that's kind of bright. That's some intense color. But now you can see even more the glow from that lantern. Why? Because it's just so orange. When you take the color away, yeah, you see a little bit of the value there. But as soon as you bring back that color, all of a sudden this bright pink starts to look a little bit cool. You can see there's even some blue-ish purple in the shadows to make that lantern seem brighter. So hopefully that kind of makes a little bit of sense for you guys. Now, let's try and give him some eyes. And all of this being painted, obviously, it's all wet, over wet. None of this stuff is dry. I mean, we've only been painting a couple hours. Yeah, just about a couple hours. That's it. Let's see if we can't give him some eyes, some eyebrows too. And this is where it starts to come down to the thinner paint, like as in more liquid paint, sticks to the thicker paint and vice versa. There's not many rules that I like to toss around, but that's kind of one of them. I mean, that's the laws of physics pretty much right there. You're kind of running into physics. And physics just says, yeah, with the oils, if the paint is super thick and you try and paint it on something that's already got thick paint, not going to stick. You make that paint thinner. It doesn't have to be a lot thinner. It just has to be thinner than what's already there. Guess what? You'll get that paint to stick. I mean, really, in effect, I almost need... Oh, actually, here's a question for you. Can a battery backup still run like an Elegoo Mars for at least a couple hours? Now, we give up on the Ender 3 because generally anything you're printing there is going to be 40 hours of printing, and there is no battery backup alive that's going to go for 40 hours. I mean, it kind of have to be a generator, I'm thinking. But that's a little question that I got there. Would a battery backup... the really low power... Oh, it would. Okay. Because I was just thinking that it would give you, just like me, enough time to at least pause the print so that you wouldn't lose the print. But, okay. That's good to know because, well, there's some prints that I'm going to have to do that are very lengthy. Now, what do I got here? I got almost kind of a grayish pink color. I need to separate his eyebrow from his eyelid. And that's what we're doing right here. Hopefully you can, I think you could see that. Let's see, the Mars is 60 watts, so pretty much a light bulb. Quick Google search from Audiothyme. Audiothen. Sorry, not Thyme. What am I saying? Sorry about that. Want to get some light there. Well, that's actually good to know because when I really start getting into the printing and all that kind of stuff, well, like today, because now the power didn't go out, but there was a fluctuation, and I would imagine that it wouldn't really like that very much. I'm going to get, yeah. That is some of my yellow ochre. There's even a little bit of Terra Rosa in there too. We just need to get some kind of, that's a weird, that is not the shape I was expecting.
Little Hobbits, spark my ganja.
Who is Gandalf welcoming in? Is this Bathtub Kraken? It is Bathtub Kraken. which is hilarious because we got Kathy a bottle of Kraken, and she actually she did some kind of mixed drink with it with coconut milk and pineapple cider. Yeah, coconut milk, pineapple cider, and Kraken in ice. And not quite sure. I think maybe she could tell you what it was that she made. I don't know what she made. I know that I had that earlier today. Let's see. You're going to want to avoid the ABS-like resins for minis in the future, unless I get the Soraya. Now I guess I'll just have to send you a picture of the ones that I got. Now it's not going to last very long because the first container was gone in the first month that I started printing stuff. So uh, yeah, I'll have to shoot me an Amazon link or something like that with the kind of resins that I know. I think you might have actually already done that. I just probably have spaced on that. Oh, actually here, let's see, I want that to reflect the skin, so I'm gonna let that get lighter down here. Yeah, like so. Let's see if we can't find ourselves a bit of an edge here. Ah, coconut milk works well with most rums. Well, now this wasn't kind of the cheaper stuff that I had gotten from the grocery store. This was actually some decent stuff. Now what we're going to do here is change this up a little bit here. Yeah, there's not quite enough going on there. I'm going to take our blending brush here. Actually, now I actually did like the pineapple cider. That was some good stuff. Yeah, see that? Now there's a little more interesting thing going on in that blade right there. I did like the pineapple cider. Even just straight up by itself was pretty nice. I'm going to add some of this cobalt violet into here again just to get some more color so you can see what that kind of looks like on its own. You know what? We are going to take a little bit. Oh yeah, we're taking some of our Terra Rosa. We'll mix it into that because purple and gold always are nice together. And we're just going to look at that very gently. Work some of that cobalt violet into our golds there. Let's see if I can't do a little bit of a lighter color on his hair now. That's our titanium white. That's our cadmium yellow. I think we're going to thin it down. Gotta get some stuff going on into his beard here. Let's see, are there TMM oils? There is, and I'll show you in just a second. Now there is a MIG ammo oil. Well, there's 4 MIG ammo oil brushes that are kind of a silver-ish color. One's aluminum, one's kind of a blackened steel. Basically, one is really light, one is much darker, and then the other two are in between. And my goal, and I'll be doing this on the Necrons. It might be a Patreon series to start out with, just to, well, let them get to see that experiment first. And I usually try to let them see things like that I've never ever tried before, so that they can get a good idea themselves of like, yeah, is this something I want to try? All right, so we just need one last hit up here with our lighter stuff. All right. So, is this the aluminum? That's the steel. Where's the aluminum one? Well, even this one will work too. So see these guys right here. These are actually a very fine metallic oil paint as opposed to the nasty, sparkly oil paint that Winsor Newton made. And the idea is you mix these with your regular paint, and all of a sudden any paint now becomes a metallic. So let's go to, speaking of Necrons, it's going to take me a little while here to flow down and find the Necrons, wherever the heck they are. Where are you guys? Nope. you're around here somewhere. Actually, I'm just gonna do something like this here. Let me see if I can. It's been a while since I looked at the neck run. There we go. So that is TMM right there, but it's also TMM and OSL. And I think we got a close up. There we go. So that was me taking regular paint colors, mixing those with just your regular paints. And I've got actually one that I can show you here. We're just going to go back to our regular screen now. So here you go. Here's some TMM. And now even this stuff here, this is actually all metallic paint. Even this freehand is metallic paint. And you can see by the shininess that it has. These were just regular paint colors. And you can mix them with the contrast paints too. So basically the equivalent of this. So you mix this with whatever acrylic paint, and then you're able to get all of these fun different colors here. Just put you back. There we go. Where's my guy here? Now, half of his body is supposed to be like completely covered with tattoos. Now, actually, this musculature is a little less messed up than this side, so maybe this side is going to be the side that gets covered with tattoos, and we'll maybe do them a bit like what we did on here. So we'll give him some tattoos maybe that look like some of these, and this is actually another YouTube video right here. You can find that. Let's see. He loves the metallic medium. Always have to add some black to it though. What's nice about the metal medium, and it does work mostly with the Winsor Newton and the the MIG ammo stuff combined, and actually it does make it lighter when you. That's the key, because what's the thing you can't get with your metal paints is you usually can't get any kind of shading, no lights or darks. I'm going to see if I can't zoom in one more here. Let me see if I can. Nope, that's as much as it's going to let me zoom in. Let's just start doing some tattoos here. So that is my goal with the oils, is to get do the neck runs, and I'm just going to go like so. We're just going to make ourselves a nice little circular kind of a spiral pattern here to start out with. And this is with one of our synthetic brushes, which is really handy for stuff like this because you can see it doesn't deform or anything like that. And yes, this is over wet oil paints. This is wet oils over wet oils. It can be done because, well, it's being done right now. And he wanted...
Hello, little hobbit. Spark my ganja.
As we welcome in Snot Rash, which sounds like a goblin problem. It kind of sounds like a goblin problem. It's a goblin issue, I think. Yeah, let's just get... we want to get this whole side of his body covered with this pattern. Oh, thanks, Stila. And it just, I mean, how hard was it? It wasn't hard at all. It was so darn easy. And that is just the amazing thing. And then we got those kind of magenta tones in there too. So easy. And we'll just build onto these patterns here. And let's say, oh, you know what? We didn't like that brush stroke whatsoever. Well, take our brush here, and it's gone. Let's say I don't even like this. It's gone. And then we're just going to blend that right in, and now we got some more green skin tones. Now we can come back in here with some of our lighter skin tone. Bring that right back. Poof, all done. Ready to get back into it again. Now with this, you can make it too thin, actually. So sometimes you give it a little test on your finger to see just how thin it is. Ah, this is better. I like this pattern a little bit more. Don't necessarily want to make it super, super dark. And yeah, we just painted that oil there, and we just painted right back over the top of it. Let's get ourselves some more of our little swirly patterns in here. Because he wanted the whole side of this dude to be covered in tattoos. So let's do that. I am going to get some darks over here on these metal bits first. And then I'm going to grab me this just to have over here as a little bit of an example. And we're just going to see if we can't build this very similar thing to what we did on that other lady that I just showed you. It's always handy to have a little bit of a reference. This is the amazing thing about the indigo. Now, on that other figure that I showed you, that was actually done with contrast paints, believe it or not. And actually all of the tattoo stuff was done with Leviathan blue. Now, if I was to be using a Reaper equivalent, it would be something like blue liner. And indigo basically is the new blue liner. At least for me it is. Now, let us get another set of shapes in here. Again, you can only do a couple of brush strokes with this because the entire time it is picking up the paint that's already there. It is doing that, so that's why we can only do a little bit, just a couple of brush strokes, like this one here. That's about it. Gotta go back and get some more. We're gonna go in here and try and complete that pattern. What is it we're trying to do? We're trying to replicate what is on our leg right there. And if you want to watch that video, that is up on the YouTube channel. I try to put as many of the Twitch sessions up on the YouTube channel as I can, as soon as I can. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, like that Kara Kalila bust that finally made it to the YouTube channel. I know people have been waiting for that for a long time. And unfortunately, this is important news. There is another Kalila bust or Kara Kalila bust coming this way. So that will give me the chance to make a regular recorded tutorial out of it. So there is going to be like an official recorded tutorial of that Kara Kalila bust. And I'm looking forward to that. It's probably going to take as much time as it did with the live session. But at least I won't have to be worried about how I'm holding it. I'll be able to, I think, have a little bit easier time holding that thing. Now, yeah, we're doing our tattoo. Let's take a little break from those. Let's do some other colors on this. I got this green here. That's going to go in here. Yeah, a little bit of that same green over here. Let's just do some kind of other colors there. Basically mid-tones. Basically a mid-tone. Get a little green onto that. Yep, a little green there. Even into that gold stuff. Now this, we're going to use some of our cerulean blue up here. And we'll mix that a little bit with the color that's already there. Alright, Now, this is why I did not get into here and do lots of shading, because I thought, well, what if there's going to be all kinds of tattoos there? Well, I don't want to have all this work into skin tones and then cover the whole darn thing up with tattoos. So here I'm going to try and take a little different tack with this. And again, if thin doesn't stick, I need to go the other way with it. So the thin sticks. It was actually literally a little bit too thick. Hey, look at this. Works of Ent. How are you doing? Welcome in. And well, this is oils. It's always got to be oils. We're just doing a little bit of wet into it. We're doing some tattoos over some nice wet skin tones, because that's what you do with your oils. Now, I mean, you can let them dry. That's no big deal. There's no rule that says you have to do this wet over wet. It's more, I just want to show that it's possible, I guess. I just want to show that it's possible, because there's just such a, for whatever reason, a vociferous group of folks out there that just wants to make it sound like you can't do it. It can't be done. Well, it kind of can be done, because I'm doing it right now. And the nice thing is, well, we already took this one and made a change there. Didn't like it, just wiped it out. Yeah, we're also doing a little bit of object source lighting, because we are working on multiple figures here at the same time. I mean, of course. Let's get a different, yes, a little different look on that. So we've got some object source lighting going on here. We've got another dude here, and we've got Daenerys over here. So we'll be working on all of these, plus some other ones. Let's see. The crew who knows will just have an easier and more fun way of painting. I tell you, well, I guess you go through that like with the airbrush stuff, where one crowd says no, that's cheating, and the other crowd says no, that's amazing, and now it's just kind of it's just a tool now, which is all it ever was to begin with. That's all it ever was. It was just something to use. It's only ever what you make it to be. Now this is going to be another, yeah, I think another swirl right here that has a sharper edge here. Then we've got to do some stuff over there. We're just going to keep building this along. We got to do something on his hand too. And I think we're just going to have it go this way. Give that a little bit of a, again, another point on it there. Got to go over his knuckles. So let's see. Recent did a private commission of a very Warhammer looking mini. Turns out it was a better version of the Gabriel and Jello's chapter master figure. So my first ever mini to paint. That has good reference pictures. I'd say reference pictures. Well, geez, I constantly have to work from them, because I'm either matching some kind of other concept art or color scheme or whatever. To me, it's, hey, I do not mind having references, that's for sure. Oh, let's see. C Justice, thank you so much. And if that is, hopefully that's the way to pronounce it. Just let me know if it is pronounced another way. And also, and welcome in too. I want to welcome you here. And hopefully there's lots of fun little things, little tidbits maybe, stuff that you can kind of take and make part of your own toolbox. Yeah, I'm just kind of getting away from the tattoos just for a second, just to work on the entire figure here all at once. You don't want to just kind of get locked into one area. Gotta keep working everywhere else too. Let's see if we can't get some lighter stuff now on these little metal plates. Like so. See if we can't give them a little bit of a light on the edge of them too. Like so. That's it. And maybe a couple shots of lighter stuff going on here too. Whatever is going on with this axe handle there as well. Let's see. Yeah, let's we grow in different ways. Oh, cutthroat. The mini our job is to lie to the viewers. Let's see. Works event. A little combination of. Well, there was our pre-glaze too. But you could say olive green. You could say some indigo. Some of your white. Cerulean. So you get your. There's some white, some raw umber. The olive green was mostly in that kind of pre-glaze. Got some indigo that was done as almost a little bit of a glaze, and of course a little bit of cerulean to give it that sort of a sky type color. And that's yeah, you know, when people are I just wish that people would be a little bit more open to some things than they are, but there's nothing I can do about that. Yeah, I think it's always been that way, right? The fight over it wasn't just NMM versus metals. Then it became even the TMM crowd was fighting with the metallics crowd because it was heresy to have any kind of non-metallic metal technique, even though it was metals. So yeah, people really just want to find things to get upset about as we welcome in Al Capone. How are you doing? It's been really kind of a wild week last week, and this week got off to a crazy start too, which is why I'm just going to sit here and somehow stay safe painting miniatures, baby. That is what I'm going to do. Let's see. It's just can you imagine any other job where if you found a better, faster way of doing something, they would tell you you're cheating? Yeah, that's boy, oh boy, heaven forbid, you know, don't make those cars one at a time, everything by hand. Definitely don't do any kind of mass production on any of the parts whatsoever so that there's uniformity and it doesn't take 14 years to build. Let's see, either TMM or NMM done well as the present. I think there was also a lot of folks that they thought I did NMM for some evil reason. I said there's two main reasons that I do it. First of all, everyone that is giving me the money to paint the miniatures wants it in non-metallic. Second reason, because being a 2D artist, well, guess what? I'm not using metallic watercolors or pastels. I have to simulate the metal surfaces. That's why. So I actually did blog posts. So you can see on the blog, that's wappeliusblogspot.com, you can see the 2D art section, and you'll be able to see well, I actually did a post, why do I paint NMM? And that was to explain the reason why. Because for whatever reason, people wanted an explanation. Now here, I'm just kind of letting that merge with the shadows there. Not doing a whole lot to make that stand out. Because I would rather let what's going on here actually be the thing that stands out. And actually, the thing that was really, really fun was that Necron, those Necrons that I showed you, and being able to actually do metallics myself for the first time. Because again, it wasn't my choice. I would have used the metals. I just wasn't allowed to. Let's see. Al Capone finished all 15 of the alien units, toyed with some oils a bit. Use some parchment paper, toss into the top lid of the wet palette. Wait, look at this. We got Asmodee in the house. How are you doing? Now, do you actually have any glue sticks? Because those really, I love those stupid glue sticks. Now, I need them because I'm attaching labels to packages. But yeah, just, glue stick like this on that piece of cardboard, that really, man, it adhered very nicely. Let's just put it that way. I'm going to see if I can get a nice big old swirl out of this right here. Now I'm going to have to go back. I can already tell that paint is starting to go away. Let's see. Yep, pretty sure the missus has a glue stick lying around. Well, I keep thinking, I know Drax, he had his parchment paper, and of course it got super hot. Just like it is here, just like it is everywhere. And all of a sudden, I could see on his camera that his palette was blowing around all over the place with the oils on it. It's like, that's no bueno. We can't be having that. So this is going to change here. Yeah, we're going to change that a little bit here. We're going to have that. Yes, we're going to give it more of a double line here. Going to thicken that up there and there. Let's see what we can do here. Just where do we stop our tattoo stuff? Now, we wanted over half of his body, so we'll give him half the body at least, maybe a bit more. But not all the tattoo has to be thin lines. That's something I kind of have to remind myself. Sometimes I just forget that, you know what, the tattoo can be more of a solid shape. Let's see, you can always buy printable label sheets with stickers. Well, actually, that's I know I have plenty of those around because I was just doing my labels for my new paint, and I got a bunch of labels to do because, well, I don't know when the new paints will show up. I'm hoping maybe before the week. Well, it should be here before the weekend. I think it should be. Now, maybe there'll be no. Wow, look at. There is no shininess at all to this stuff. Even though it was just painted, because it's so thin down, but it's also not runny. You can see the paint's not running all over the place. There's another little secret evil thing again. I did not like the musculature on this side at all. Kind of hated it. So what I do, I just covered it up literally with tattoos that are supposed to be there. So it's the best of all worlds because I'm doing what's supposed to be there, and I actually now don't have to paint an area that I didn't want to have to paint. To me, it's all a bunch of win. Unlabeled bottle is chilling. Yeah, I've got to. Well, it was getting to be a little bit crazy because I had so many colors with no labels on them. Now, for me, it's no problem because I know what's in them, but it was getting more and more difficult with the live sessions and even in the tutorial videos to show what the heck was going on with those colors. Like, it's this color, trust me. I'm going to get me some darks here, and then we'll go in with some of our lights on that. We're also going to get some darks into here, too. So, yeah, we're going to fill in some more of our tattoo areas. We're going to make some areas of this almost be a solid color by comparison. What's going to happen here? How far over do I take this pattern here? Just going to give him a little, there we go, one last little swirl there, because it also kind of mimics this pattern. So we have the swirls all kind of balancing each other out, I guess, so to speak. Alrighty. And I think I was given permission to maybe do a little bit of tattoo stuff on the other guy. Obviously, nowhere near what this guy has. We gotta get something on his face now. That's going to be interesting. This is also another. I did not like necessarily this side of the face as far as how the sculpt was handled. Just give him a little bit of a swirl there. Let's see. Yes, it says I'm at the use dark washes on everything skill level, but I want to make my own at least. So I have 10 different bottles of dark wash and no idea what's in any of them. Well, it's interesting because I know there was someone that was asking me. They said, well, you got to turn up the light of on your camera on your palette because all of these colors look the same. And I said, yeah, they look exactly the same to me too. And I'm looking at them like with my eyes, not through a camera. They're just that freaking dark. Which is why I try and put them in the same place all the time. So see, we're getting a little bit of see, a little bit of tattoo stuff on his face there. Was it that hard? Nah. And that's the thing about the oils too. You can get them thinner than acrylics. Even with this being wet oils over wet oils, it's still easier for me to do this than it would be with acrylics. And I am not joking. I know it sounds like I'm kind of pulling your leg. I'm really not. I really am not. I am going to get some lighter skin tones in a few places here, though. Now that I've got the tattoos in place, look at this. I can go back in here and even pop a little bit of a right there. And then look at this, where that's a solid. Oh, I just put a couple of dots in there. Yeah, oh, well, we'll just stop. We're not supposed to do this. We're not supposed to be doing detail with the oils. So yes, no more tattoos, no more eyes. None of those fun things that I don't know would be considered a detail. How dare us? How dare we sit here and do detail stuff with oils? Let's see if I can't get a little lighter color in here. And this also, it has to be thinned down, I believe, because I think we've got some, yeah. We have enough thick paint there we've got to get, just like our tattoos had to be thinner. If we're going to pop in a little bit of lighter skin tone here, that also has to be on the thinner side. Crazy elbow shape there. There's also on his back, like right here. So see where that's a solid bluish. Well, guess what? We're going to take that and we just put some dots there. All done. That was wet oil over wet oil. That's over wet oil, which was over another 2 or 3 layers of wet oils. And yet it worked. It's seriously easier for me to do this in oils. I would have a much harder time doing that with acrylics. Well, you just can't get the paint as thin. That's got a lot to do with it. Oil is thinner than water. It's the reason why oil floats. If oil wasn't thinner, oil would just, you wouldn't have to worry about oil spills because they would just sink and you never have to deal with them. However, that's not quite what they do. Hey, do we have a pigeon in the house? We do. All my talent is in a bottle. I don't need practice. I need product. And Al Capone says, stop doing the impossible. We got to somehow make a book of Wappel saying about the whole no detail in oils. There's got to be something there about that. I'm going to do a couple of our little dots here too. Yeah, look at that. I just love doing those. Now, Bathtub Kraken has never tried oils before. I first started using them almost 4 years ago. So this fall, let's say early October-ish. So this is the very first set that I got, almost 4 years ago. Now I have added to it. I've gotten some kind of specialty colors, and then some very specialized colors like this. So it's fluorescent oil paints, and we've got some more coming. And I've also added more expensive ones like the indigo, especially the cadmium colors and all that. They're just I love them because, well, we're just all this. So I just painted this in oils. It just took a matter of, well, I want to say like less than a half an hour to paint this thing. I'm not kidding you. And with all of the different depths of all the blues and those reds and stuff, it was that amount of time. It was just hardly any time whatsoever. Here's another one, and this video is going to be going up on YouTube very soon. The weathering, all of the stuff. Look at the little, again, tiny little details again. Let's see, what is Al Capone has also found that the oils work almost the opposite of acrylics. It is actually, especially the cadmiums are yes, and that is it. All of the blues, there's basically only two, well, easily identifiable. Where'd my indigo? Here it is. These are pretty much two of your most opaque blues right here. Everything else, especially all of these other blues, the cobalt blue, these are going to be very transparent. Now, I think Dick Blick has like a little color chart or something like that, and when you look at it, you will see all of these oil paints, and some of them look like watercolors. When you look at the color swatches, you'll say, what the heck's going on here? But that is, it's the intensity of the pigments. They're not necessarily opaque. Look at that. Oh, I just did right there. I even forgot to tell you I was doing it. That's how easy it was. Look at how easy that is. Non-metallic metals, object source lighting, all that stuff just gets easier with oils. It really does. Yeah, the cerulean blue, I really liked it. Now, let me see if I can reach these. Now, well, heck, here, this was the first time I actually got a chance to use the cerulean blue, was on the Kara Kalila bust. And again, part of that session is up on the YouTube channel, but I do have another one of these busts on the way. So I will be making a formal painting series based on, well, on that bust right there. Now I'm going to get down here to we're almost there we go. So cerulean blue would be really crucial. So these halberds, if you're doing those in oils, you would really want some cerulean blue. Now these were done in acrylics, but you can bet that I definitely want to do those again with oils. Quinacridone magenta for some pretty, oh my gosh, can you imagine the purple you could get out of that? Can you just imagine the purple? It's the ultramarine, and the legendary faded ultramarine is titanium white plus ultramarine. Actually, and we also, what was this? Oh, the cobalt violet. Yes, the cobalt violet in there gave us basically the faded ultramarine of oil paint. That was really cool. Now I'll take some of my titanium white over here and get ourselves some nice little lights over here too. Let's hit our golds. Get a nice little highlight on there. Oh, let's go down here. Do a similar thing. We've got to get something going on there. And you know what? We're talking about it. Let's play with some of that cobalt violet here. Throw some of it there, and then we're going to push it around. Place it and push it. It sounds like some kind of weird yoga thing. But look at that. We put a dot of color there, and we just drag that right out. Throw some of that here. We're going to just get a little bit of purple into some of these guys. And then again, that's our cobalt violet. Now we're going to mix that. Yeah, look at that. Mix that real nice, just a touch of it in there. And breathe out. Well, let's see, what were we doing? Oh, we were talking about exercising, because after many hours of painting, you have to somehow kind of uncork yourself. And I talked about all the different exercises that I do. And I believe we started calling that Getting Buff with Jim. I do believe that's what it was called. That was painting and exercising. And we're going to get ourselves not just a lighter skin tone, but I want actually something that's got a little bit of warmth to it here. And I want to get some definition right in here. Just a touch more. Almost like maybe it's reflected light or something. I need to try NMN with oil since they blend so easily from the extreme colors. We always, I think lately I've just started adopting that expression of we're like stealing 2 or 3 layers basically for the price of one. So an example here, is this a good one? Yeah. So one's like this one here. So all of the greens that are in the gold, this was all done in oils. All of these oranges, especially the greens, that was already there for my pre-glaze. See all these greens in here and those golds? That was already there. I didn't have to put it in there. Now here I did put that more orange going on right there. Now, oh, actually, let's hear. This is something I didn't get to do during the set of videos, but let's play around with something right here. All right. Let's just do a little bit more of our free-handy type things here. Now this is obviously over dry oil paint. So I can actually, I don't have to necessarily be super thin just so that it sticks. It'll just be thin so that I can make it flow real nice. Flows real nice here, look at that. But see how it's kind of semi-translucent almost? So see how it's got like its own little bit of shading there. Now let's do a little bit of our over-under routine here. Let's get some of our indigo and that green mixed together. Maybe a bit darker. Okay. Now let's see, this is where our over is going to be. And we'll just do all of them on that same line here. And one last down here. So there we have it. I mean, how many seconds did that take? Oh, let's say if we want to do some shading on that. Like make parts of it lighter or something. I think we could do that here. And we'll focus on the parts that go over here. Like that. Making those a little bit lighter. So now we even have some shading. I mean, how many? That's just your oil paints right there. Darn that, making detailed stuff in oil paints. What's going on? Yeah. That was just some little quickie oil right there. And it was over dried oil paint. Maybe you just let it dry, or things happen, whatever, it just dries on you, and you just say, oh yeah, now I can actually do this that much easier because the paint underneath it is dry. So little extra bonus sisters coverage for you there. Don't say I never gave you extra sisters. Hashtag more sisters. Now this also, we got to do something over here with this metal here. That is looking a little bit devoid of shape. We are going to give it some shape now. It's a little bit of our cerulean blue working its way in there. Back to some of our lighter tone. We've got this rivet or whatever right there. I think we'll make that a bit lighter. Now we're going to get some of that green going here again. Yeah. Green is a very logical metal color. To Jessica, I know you have an Elegoo Mars, but you really got to pick up a monochrome printer when the good ones are released later this month. You'll have to, if you can, maybe shoot me like a link to something on that so I can at least kind of start to read up on it a bit. That would be, if you don't mind, that would be super helpful. I just, for right now, I know by this time next year, I want to just be printing just like crazy. Like every day, I want to be printing new stuff, and maybe have, well, certainly more than just that Elegoo Mars. I definitely want to have more than just that. See, I'm starting to work some more greens in here now. See that? We're just working in some more green into that skin tone. How hard is that? Faster cure times and higher quality. Well, those are two words that, yeah, those would make me happy. I mean, either one by itself is good, but both together is even better. So, yeah. Now, let's see. So, with pre-shading, does that kind of act as the Bob Ross liquid white to blend? Actually, it's a little bit of both. It is a little bit of both because it does give you something to blend with, but it also just it's that sort of priming the canvas, right? Like we keep saying. It's a little bit of both. I think what did Bill Alexander used to do? I think he used to just literally put some kind of white over his. I mean, it was just some. He might have just used titanium white or something. Geez, the last time I watched Bill Alexander, oh, it was a long time ago. I wonder if his stuff is at least on YouTube or something now. Because they don't really show him. They show Bob Ross, but they never show poor Bill Alexander. I mean, quite literally, that is what I grew up with, was Bill Alexander. Or should I guess I should probably say Wilhelm. Because that's what his actual name probably was. Let's see, an Anycubic wash and cure station on sale together. I've seen YouTube, well, of course, because everything is listening to us all the time. I get advertised every time I go to YouTube. I get an advertisement, I think, for that one that you're talking about, because it talks about how it washes and everything all in one basically go. Now I just took some brown matter there. This is some brown matter with a little bit of the Terra Rosa, because we're going to get some darks in our golds over here. So see, we made that darker. Now we got to get some green. Going to get some green in here. Oh, what the heck, I even just grabbed a little bit of fluorescent green. Let's see, Volkson says he has a channel with 200 plus painting videos and still uploading. I mean, obviously, I believe poor Bill has passed on many years ago, but it's good to see that he's a content creator still, or at least that somebody's putting his videos up, because that would be sad. Let's see. Let's see. It's oh, I'm just gonna let the conversation about the Anycubic. I couldn't quite tell what was going on with it in some cases. the commercial or the whatever is the advertisement cut to too many different aspects of it. It was like too many fast cuts. I wish they just would have been a little bit slower about it so I could actually see what the heck was going on. All right, dark there, dark here. Let that blend out. Back to my indigo. We need some darks over here too. We're getting a lot of lights and such. We also need to get some kind of reflected light going on in here. Or reflected dark, one or the other. But we gotta have something. We got nothing there right now. We are gonna take some of our green here. So at least now there's something there. We've got this chain over here. We gotta do something with this chain. Now that our skin is all set there with our tattoos. Oh, we got a piece of armor over here we got to deal with now. Let's do that. And these little things on his wrist here, we're going to have to get some. I might even throw, now that I'm thinking about it. So I'm going to take, and this is something that I've actually done with the acrylic, so I'm going to take the cadmium yellow here. I'm actually going to throw a little bit of the fluorescent orange into that. And I'm just going to, that's it. There we go. Just a couple of shots of that into these. They're supposed to be gold anyway, so is this. I did it with the sisters. Time to do it here. And we also have to actually extend out that gold a little bit if we're going to have that be gold. Here's some of our Terra Rosa now. We threw that little dot right there so we can blend that in. So it's another form of glazing. I can't emphasize it enough. With the oils that don't get trapped by the terminology, because you can't, just because it says I'm saying glaze, you can't really think of it as an acrylic glaze. It's the oil version of it. It's way more expansive, basically. You can do so much more with an oil glaze than you can with an acrylic glaze. Mostly because the acrylic glaze is just, it's going to dry, and B, there's that whole thing about watermarks. And oils certainly don't have the one, and they minimize the other. So we're also going to thin that out a bit. Big acrylic, the world's most powerful lobby. Ooh, that could be that's like a public service announcement. Don't believe big acrylic, the world's most powerful hobby lobby. Which, now there's an interesting twist. That's a fun twist right there. Well, hey, we're only 3 hours into this. I gotta be making foolies at some point. We are gonna get a little bit darker in that skin tone. Yeah, that's hair, but nah, still want some. I'm actually going to, just for the fun of it, throw a little bit more of a dark in some of these shadow areas. I'm not quite sure why. I just kind of feel like it. Don't want to keep getting lighter and lighter. I want to get some stuff that's a little darker here. And it's green as well. Same kind of green that we've been throwing in on our sword blade. Well, here. Take some of that same green. We're going to chuck it right over here. Color goes somewhere. It must go everywhere. That's in the Book of Wappel. No doubt about that. That's verse 1, chapter 1, page 1. I see we've got potentially something that needs to be on the goldish side here too. This little belt buckle here. And that's messing around with our pre-glaze. That's just kind of been sitting there all this time. Now we're just going to take some raw umber here. And this is actually, we're not doing this in glaze fashion. We're actually doing that kind of full on, kind of, look at that. That is more of your unthinned oil paint right there. Let's see. I heard if you paint with oils, your head will explode because it's dangerous. Where do you guys get Stino Res? Kind of trying to start American stores and hope they stick. Okay, so the Stino Res, well, obviously, I think it's called Badger America or American Airbrush or something like that. That's one place you can get it. You can find it on Amazon. There is one thing that we all recommend, and those of us who are veterans, get your Stino Res now while it's hot. I mean, that's not get it while it's hot because when it's wintertime, it can freeze, especially, on planes and stuff. So think about getting it sooner rather than later if you can find it because it can sometimes get a little frosty in those planes or wherever, if it's being shipped, and it can get a little wonky. So definitely think about that. Here, let's get some darks down here. We haven't really done much on the base here yet. We're playing with some of our umbers again. Mostly I just want to not have that be light around there anymore. So that makes a little more sense now. And we're also maybe going to do something with his little loincloth there. I don't know. But that was really fun doing our little tattoos there. That was pretty fun. Hey, Numbskull, how are you doing? Now, I don't know if he's got, I think he might actually have 20 colors of primer now. I know he has at least 18. There's at least 18. There may be 20 of them. And I don't know if he's actually released it or not yet, as Numbskull is just chilling. But he had a primer that was specifically meant for 3D printed stuff to kind of absorb some of the striations, especially your Ender 3 striations. Now, as we're going to go into some brown matter here, brown matter, a little bit of my umber into that. Let's get some maybe dark strands into his hair. Yeah, let's do that.
Hello, little hobbit. Spark my ganja.
Thank you so much, Friendly Almond. I appreciate that. Gandalf does too. Thank you so much for the follow. Look at what that just did. Those couple little brush strokes there. And yes, it was a bit on the thinner side too, so that we could get down in there. It wasn't that kind of glazing type thin. Not like what we did earlier. Not like we did a couple hours ago where we were just really intentionally kind of glazing that. It was a little bit different. Now I am going to go in here, yellow ochre, some light green. Let's see if I can do something with this. It's got to either be lighter or I've got to have a change of color. I'm thinking lighter is good. Lighter's good. Is that going to be enough of a contrast? I'm going to maybe actually go a little bit more. Little touch of yellow titanium. There we go. See that? Now, a couple of brush strokes. That's all it took. Didn't have to go nuts there. Just a couple of brush strokes. Now, let's see. Bought a batch of 6 different colors from Amazon. The 2-ounce bottles. How big? Are these the 4-ounce? Yeah. So these are the 4-ounce. And I know this 2-ounce of which you speak because I have a ton of those darn things. I always love the ebony flesh print. It's one of my favorites. And that's why I don't have any more. It's gone. It's like I don't have any more. I am going to take some of this Terra Rosa though. I'm going to start working some of this into his boots. Oh, we got metal plates on his boots too. Oh my goodness. So we'll get those two and maybe a touch of that Terra Rosa on some of the wood right there. And I'm going to go back to this. And we're going to let that mix into the Terra Rosa. Because that's pretty much just our pre-glazed color. or as it's known, the preparation glaze. I still love that so much. That is just, maybe I'm just too easily amused. And here as I add the titanium white into that, bam. Now I know there's been some questions that were basically people say, okay, so if I'm still using acrylics, but I want to get myself kind of mentally geared up for working with oils, what's a good way just to start getting myself mentally prepared for that? Well, you've seen the videos, they're on the YouTube channel. I know I've done them here too, where I'm taking ye old contrast paints and mixing them with these two off-whites. Because what did I just do there? I took some of the titanium white and I just put it over the colors that were already here, and you could see how they were blending. That's kind of the same thing that happens with this little mix, except obviously it's going to dry much faster, being, well, acrylics. Now I am going to sneak some of my, here, that's cerulean blue in here, these metal plates. At least I think they are supposed to be metal. Now I'll go a little touch more of my titanium white with that cerulean blue. Now it's a bit lighter. And we're just going to lighten up this one side. It's like he's got armored sandals, which is interesting. Touch more of my light here on that. And then we're going to go the other way. We're going to take some of our indigo, umber, something like that, something darker. Let's see, Spectrum has to take out or take off. I hope you have a good one too. Now let's see, 64 ounce of primer for about 160. At least it'll last me a while. Let's see, can you get a hold of your local hobby shop to order you some different color Steino Res? Unfortunately, there are no local hobby shops that are anywhere near us. They are pretty much on the opposite side of the city, which, well, and we're just basically not going anywheres. So, unfortunately, yeah, that's it either gets to us by mail or not at all. Yeah, there's just no, there are no hobby stores anywhere near us. They're all in the far distant suburbs, and that is just a land where we do not wander. I don't have oils yet, but I'm more or less painting exclusively in inks mixed with black and white, which, that's not a bad training ground. To get yourself kind of mentally geared for this, that's not a bad method. While you're obviously getting lots of the values and stuff in there. You're doing your own kind of version of film noir. Crumb Monkey. I've been wanting to get started with the oils that I have, but so far haven't been able to get them thinned down correctly. Well, now, here, we'll show these two items here. So it's so easy for me to get this here in the US, and it's wonderful. I absolutely love this. It's Speedball. Mona Lisa's kind of the sub-brand or whatever. But if you're in Europe, this will be obviously much easier for you to get. These are about the two closest things that I could find. And thinning the paint is always going to be a different sort of thing because, and I can show you right here, we've got every single one of these colors is very different. This one right here and these two are super, super translucent. These two, well, actually these three here, these are going to be very, very opaque, even though this is not a cadmium. These are definitely very opaque, and these will, if you want to go thinner with these, you're going to have to put more of your thinner in those. This takes less. This right here, oh my gosh, a little bit of thinner goes a massive way with that. It's one of those things, and I don't want to say unfortunately, but as you fool around with more oil colors, you just start to get more of a feel for it. I know I am. That's why I keep buying up the new ones. Using the Mona Lisa in the States, well, that's good. That is good. See, I think I just heard the sound of a cat knocking a mini off a table. Well, there are no cats here. Well, there shouldn't be any cats here. If there's a cat in this house, it's either a ghost or it's somehow broken through a closed window and gotten in the house. What are we? Here we go. Oh, that's actually, thanks for bringing that up, Yesik, because if you do have critters in the house, especially those of the shedding variety, well, I do suggest that you either find something to put over your guys, like a little dome or something, or you just put them in a cabinet where they can get some circulation, because as the oil paint dries, those little buggers, their hair will stick to it. Oh, it will. It'll definitely stick to it. Now look what I just did there. See, I added even a little bit more of a dark there. Now here we've got, yeah, you know, gold is yellowish, but it also needs to be more than just that. It needs to be more, which is why we are going to do this thing with the green again. It's not actually going to look green, but we did just change the color there a tiny bit. I'm also going to get that lighter, and then we got to get some lighter colors into this hand here. It's sculpted a little weird, to say the least. Gonna grab a little Terra Rosa here, get that nice and peachy. Nice and peachy. Let me see. Numbskull got to support the brick and mortar stores, or this is what happens. Well, boy, we supported, well, let's put it this way. In Chicago, well, a nearby suburb, relatively nearby, it had the Battle Bunker, which was the largest store in the North American hemisphere, and we supported the heck out of that. And then unfortunately, well, GW just kind of took it away because they wanted their little one-man stores. People have tried to make stores around here. They just, maybe it's because everything gets kind of spread out. I don't know. But and we tried to, we tried to go there and support them, but unfortunately they are just too freaking far away. So even a lot of those are under stress. Let me see. If you think your cats respect you, you're misreading pity. Yeah. Well, the other thing too is when they look at you all nice and fondly and everything else, they're really just thinking about what spices you would go good with, because they'll just eat you when you're dead. And that cat's just sitting there like, hey, stop it with the exercise thing. That's probably why the cats are always jumping on your exercise equipment. They're like, man, if you keep exercising like that, you are going to taste so gamey when I have to munch on you. So stop doing that exercise thing. Now I'm just going to get some more lights here. And what I'm guessing are some kind of, well, maybe they're straps to hold the little pieces of armor on that. Not sure, but I am going to grab a touch of this lighter green, a little bit of the indigo here. We got to do something with this fabric. There's not much happening with Mr. Fabric right here. We need something going on. Doesn't have to all necessarily be green. And in fact, it's not, because we're going to change it into some kind of a brown over here. But it just couldn't be nothing. Now I just turned it into something. Ooh, I see some skin tone we need to get in here. It's going to be, this is the other benefit of the oils. A little something we call blind blending. Quite literally just putting a color on a brush, saying, all right, brush, get down in there, do something. Give me some kind of shading. I don't know what it's going to be. Just give me something. That is so helpful. I never thought I could be overjoyed by such a simple thing. Sure as heck saves a lot of time, though. It really does. Speaking of which, let's get a little skin tone or here of the sort of mid-tone-ish variety. Oh, like that. And so that is okay. I couldn't determine all of a sudden if he's wearing socks because I see toes over here. But he literally is, I don't know, maybe he's wearing armored clogs. It's hard to tell. Let me see. Right now I think I have them a little bit too thin. Crumb Monkey, that's, now the other thing, I don't know if you've heard me talking about the other way of thinning paints, which is literally just to have less paint in the brush. But that is kind of what is that, the fourth way or something like that, or the third way, is just to not have so much in the brush, like this, literally. Have almost none of it in the brush. But because there's wet paint here, you see how that's blending? Even though there's very little paint on the brush. To do that before, as in like maybe 3 weeks ago, I might have just took more of the white spirit or the thinner. So that's another way of thinning it down there. Hopefully that helps Crumb Monkey. Croton Hurst, let's say you're doing well if you get any respect from your cats. Let's see, that is looking amazing. Oh, thank you very much. Megan has to go to sleep. Well, thanks for the cheer and everything else and all the bitses and everything else. Hopefully you have a good night's sleep. And thanks again. Oh, this is something I haven't really done too much. Yeah, that's a little cobalt blue, which I still got to make a container of. And some white. That's going to go up here. Cats have no social distancing, that's for sure. Cats are all like hashtag no rules. Just like here, no rules, sort of. Brother Barrio, I don't know. I'm going to have to ask the person that commissioned this, and then I'll try and I'll either put it in the VOD description. It's going to be a YouTube video as well. So by the time this is a YouTube video, I'll know who makes it because I'll be able to ask the person. I wish I could tell you. It seems like this might even be 3D printed. I don't know. This could actually even be a 3D print. I don't know. I'd have to find out. But once I do, like I said in the description on YouTube or whatever, I'll try and get that at least by then. Let's see. Al Capone found that I just unloaded some paint into my paper towel. Oil paints really go a long way. But yeah, Crumb Monkey, that is something that I quite literally just discovered. I think I always knew it, but it didn't really, as far as telling you guys in such an earnest way, like, look, get as much paint out of that brush as you possibly can. It's another way of thinning the paint. And also by watching folks. Like now that I'm doing the Twitch thing, I can actually watch people and they're working with the oils. And obviously the first thing I notice is that they're putting anywhere between 3 to 7 times the amount of paint on that I am. And I went, whoa, okay, we got to let these people know. We got to find a succinct way other than just put less paint on there. You know, that's why I kind of do this whole thing to show how little paint is on the brush. Now, here's again another area where there will be some potential blind blending. What's going to happen here? I need some. I'm so tempted to actually get, it's not like a cadmium yellow. Oh, and this is the other thing that I've learned too. The hues, the faux cadmiums, they have their limitations. Now, when one color costs $2 and the other costs 20 or 30, there's going to be a difference. I mean, you just can't get around that. But what is the difference? I'm starting to see the actual differences now, whereas this kind of turns into a bit of a crumbly cake versus real cadmiums. Like this real cadmium over here, it's never going to do that. I mean, 30 years from now, as I'm sitting there on whatever the 30-year version of Twitch is, and I'm still probably sitting in the same stupid chair, I'll still be able to use that cadmium red. But the faux cadmiums, they definitely have a limitation. And everything's always it's a series of trade-offs. You trade cost for convenience for maybe a little less hazards as far as materials go. I'm going to get some of this cadmium yellow light in here. Again, it's a faux cadmium.
Little hobbit, spark my ganja.
Thank you so much, Pastanex, for the follow. It's appreciated. I hope you don't mind me making the initial X silent. If that is not the case, just let me know. Let's see. Cats literally had no social distancing. Paper towel. I think we are caught up. Do we need? Yes, 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 yes. We are going to take some of our titanium white wheat. Now this is the liquid thinning process, right? So this is thinner, but because we have put some liquid in that, so it's not the kind of that initial phase where we're desperately trying to basically eliminate as much paint from the brush as we can. This is just your, what would you say, more traditional thinning of the paint. And we are going to get some lighter skin tones in here. Maybe even his neck over here. Let's see, hard to tell when things are a 3D print anymore. I've sent you some of mine. There's pretty much no layer lines, and the quality can be higher than other methods if you have patience. Yeah, well, boy, those settings, like you said, just trying to discover what setting is going to be best with what material, with what, how the supports are done and everything else. That is an art form. I knew it would be, and such. Look, I see. We're gonna add a couple of lights in there, so it does bring out some of our tattoos in a few areas. I'm not really sure what I want to have happen with this thing over here. I don't know. Let's grab some olive green. We'll chuck some white into that. Let's just see what kind of a grayish green we get here. This is usually the time when I start looking for something like that. Now we're just going to hit the handle of this thing, because the last time we touched that was with a glaze a couple of hours ago, I think. I am going to throw a little bit more of my titanium into this. Let that mix. Yeah, a little bit of that mixing in there. Let a little bit more of my olive green get into this, and now hit the other side of our, it's some kind of wrapping on there. We'll let that just sort of blend here, blend over there, good to go. Now I might take this same sort of greenish gray here, and I don't know if those are necessarily supposed to be metal or not. I'm just going to treat them as, well, something that's kind of grayish. And then I'm going to take this burnt umber here. It took me a while that I forgot I had shipped off one of my container, my burnt umber, just as a test to someone, so they could do a little bit of just, I don't know, formulation with it. And I forgot I never made another one. So I was like without my burnt umber for quite a while. I guess I didn't notice because I had the brown matter, so it kind of took over. I guess that's another reason why the brown matter took over. All your highlights seem to go white. They're actually not white. It's think of the camera and the lights. If I was to, well, if there were no lights, you wouldn't be catching all of that. Here we go. Now these two also done with oils. Her skin tones look just like his. But as you can see, the lightest skin tone is nowhere near light, and same thing with his. You don't see any of that. It's just because it's kind of an artifact of the camera, where one is obviously wetter. Even this. I mean, there were parts of this thing that looked white. And that was just the camera light, or the lights, reflecting off of the wet paint. Because we've got our sisters here, and again, so here you have a little bit less of that going on because this is dry now. And even here, a lot of this looked white just because it was wet. Even everything we were doing up here on our little banner thing, same thing. So yeah, it's kind of an artifact of the lights and the wet paint. I just ordered the any starting tips. Well, the first thing if you so desire, you take your, and I'll just grab one of them here. Is this the ultramarine? No. So there's your ultramarine, right? This is my ultramarine. You take, and you're going to have to mix these by yourself, and there is no formula for this. You'll mix this with this in something like an old blister pack like this, and you just mix them until you get the consistency of miniature paint, because it's really tough to work with peanut butter, which is what that is, by comparison to miniature paint. And we all know what miniature paint thickness is. The other thing is you're going to want to have something like one of these. Here, I'm just trying to grab some. See this pewter right here? We all have these. We all got stuff like this. This gets cut up, gets thrown in that container, and you hear that sound? That is what's inside here, is a chunk of metal, and that is going to keep it flowing, because this is one that I made 3 years ago, actually over 3 years ago. And you can see that paint is just fine. Look at that. That paint is just fine in there. I'm going to throw out a little bit more here. Now this container seals pretty well, obviously, but it also has a steel agitator in there. That actually came with the steel agitator. I am going to get some lighter green over here, just like I did, and this is that blind blending once again. I'm really just shoving the brush down in there, letting it do kind of whatever it's going to do. Doesn't really matter. Replace that paint. Take a paper towel here, wipe it off of there. What are we going to do? We are going to push that around. We're going to blend that. This is how we steal layers. You notice I didn't sit there and go one layer lighter, like it was acrylics. Why do that? This ain't acrylics. I just took a couple of lighter colors, stuck them on there, and blended it. And look at all that nifty shading I just got. How many seconds did that take? We measure it in seconds with the oils. The Wappel's Wondrous Oil Brushers. Well, I cannot confirm nor deny that maybe something like that is being worked on. That's about the extent of what I can say. But who knows? I don't quite know about this year. That might be a little too early. But maybe. There just might be, if we believe enough. If we all do our, we do all our appropriate cult-like things, we might just have oil brusher or Wappel oils that you don't have to mix yourself. Not that that's not fun. I mean, hashtag I love it. Let's see. I'm just going to try and get caught up. Let's see. Nice. The contrast is super. It's Now, when you're doing it, obviously it won't be the whole with all the extra lights and stuff. Although, I mean, you might want to factor in just in your mind, like, yeah, okay, maybe this highlight's not quite so bright as I think it is just because of the lights. So it might even happen with your lights too, not necessarily just camera lights. So something to keep in mind. Let's see, I'll have to buy agitators. They don't have much in terms of scraps. Well, yeah, resin scraps would not quite do the same thing, would they? And Friendly Almond asks, what do you look for in pigments when you make them? I'm not actually making them. I'm literally just taking the oils here and thinning them down until they're the consistency of miniature paint. You you do have to kind of keep in mind, and this is something we talked about earlier, colors like this are very transparent. Now this blue is one of the rare blues that is more opaque. It just kind of is. Even the watercolor cerulean blue is more opaque. This green right here is actually fairly opaque, but not all greens are like that. Here we go. This Viridian hue or phthalo green, this is massively transparent. However, it's a really intense color. It's super intense. Generally, a lot of your most intense colors, they're actually the ones that are the most transparent, which I know is going to sound kind of wacky and crazy. Let's see, are you telling me to sacrifice a goat for premixed oils? A goat could be acceptable. I mean, it could be. I mean, if it was perhaps a unicorn, that might be a more appropriate sacrifice. Because, I mean, we all know that unicorn's blood, it's not just delicious, it's nutritious. I am going to get a little bit of cerulean blue over here onto that. Yeah, let's do that too. Up here, yeah, there's a whole lot of nothing going on. That's just gray. Better strike that oil while the oil iron is hot. Let's see, Chrome Monkey, I bought some stainless steel nuts from the hardware store. Oh, that's a good idea. Now, again, because I do the Dark Sword miniatures, I will have, and Reaper miniatures, I will have an endless supply of pewter pretty much, yeah, forever. So I'll never have to worry about that. But for those folks that maybe don't have so much metal around, that is not a bad idea. Let's see, numbskull, we'll just call it a barbecue. That's a quinacridone magenta, phthalo blue, green, Indian yellow, dioxazine purple, super transparent, super vibrant. Which is, I mean, to me, that is, I guess I was always used to that because of, well, having done oils, watercolors, all that stuff in the past. And then as I started to watch people and sometimes they would really be struggling on stuff, and then I'd realize, oh yeah, they're thinking this is acrylics. They don't really realize just how translucent most oil paints are. Well, let's put it this way. Now, let's say that everybody sacrifices whatever sacrifices needed to be made, and maybe said oil line is made. There would be a sincere effort to mark those containers as, okay, guys, this is a translucent color, or this is very opaque. So there will be some kind of thing on the label. Actually, I'm thinking of reworking my labels to just say where this is transparent, even just so that I can show this on the screen and it says transparent, because cobalt violet, very transparent. It says 100% in for the nuts, but I just ordered a, I, there's an evil part of me that just for some reason wanted to put some rare earth magnets in there. just to be evil. Now I've got some white. We're really thinning this down. We're going to look for a couple of highlights on our metals here. We got some areas that just, there's not much happening here in terms of light or dark. And we need to enhance that just a touch. Look at how easy it is with the oils. you will want to be very direct with the oils. You don't want to be doing all this, the tap, 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 tap stuff. What you want to do is be direct with it. One shot, you're done. Right here, one stroke, that's it. Go over here. Nice quick brush stroke there to get that line working. Let's see, maybe a rating of 1 to 5 with a certain amount of circles filled in for opacity. That could fit, that could certainly fit on a label there. That could certainly fit, or yeah, circle start, some kind of identifiable shape like that could certainly do the trick. Oh, gee, let's, little titanium white there, just a couple of those. And this is the, what would you say, traditionally thinned. Basically, you almost would, gosh. Well, I know, was it the GW? They've got, what, like well, there's the contrast paint, but then there's washes, glazes, then there's their technical paints and all that. So it's, something along those lines, something to let you know that you're working with something a little bit different, I guess. Just something to designate that. See, the other round uses a empty half circle, full scale. Ah, all right. I like that. That's very simple. That's very simple to enact. So that is a capital idea right there. Let's get some darks on the other side of this here. We got a lot of middle tones and a lot of lights. I think we need some serious darks to get some nice sharp edges on this. This side, actually, just the opposite. It needs some kind of a mid-tone. That's going to take the form of our ultramarine, no, cobalt blue mixed with a little bit of our white. And then we go a little bit more with the white. And now, way more satisfied with that. Just to get not anything happening there. What's our cobalt violet there? Let's have that maybe mix with this a little bit instead of, yes. Mix with it instead of just being its own little crazy color there. What about in this? I'm going to go over here to my nicely thinned titanium white. Do some stuff on the handle here. And I think maybe the blade. Oh, you know what? This, maybe, I don't know. Let's see if we like this or not. Let's see if we like this or not. We'll just put a couple of our little cut mark things here. Got to really thin that down. Let's say a nonagon or icosahedron. Just a few of those. If we don't like them, be real easy just to wipe those things out and make them go away. This will also have to be thinned down quite a bit. Oh, and by the way, this is the synthetic here, so the reason why I'm reaching, it's not just the fact that it's a quadruple zero. The synthetic brush is not going to deform and kind of push the way this one does. It's just a fact of life with these synthetics versus sables. It also means that I can do a brush stroke like this right here. And see how that brush has a snap to it? Sable brushes are just not quite so likely to do that. That's why I really enjoy having my synthetics around. See, there's another one, and poof, one last one. Okay, it just gives it a little something. That was an awful big surface right there. We just need to do something to make that a little more interesting. Let me see. I would pay 100% pay an extra $1 or $2 just for all that on my pain labels. Yeah, this stupid phone, man. I hate. The phone was really driving me nuts today. I was like, how in the world? That is not even anywhere near what I was trying to type. Or maybe either way, it's a square or something half filled. Well, what I would try and do is some swatches, basically. And actually, if you look at some of, well, the old painting.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Thank you so much for the follow, Ace. That is appreciated. Gandalf appreciates it too. One of my old painting pyramid videos, that's part of the Patreon page too, as we get a little bit of light in here, is I did a whole bunch of swatches when I was doing some of my color theory episodes, like painting reds and painting blues. And it was a way to kind of directly compare them. So if I know what you see on Dick Blick, I'm just going to add some spots there, like we did over here. They'll just show you the color at full opacity, and then they take either a brush or a palette knife and they kind of sweep it across a piece of white board or something, and then you can see what it looks like more translucent. You know what? I'm going to get a little bit lighter down here. I don't want to go too crazy with that, but it could use a little bit of lighter stuff down here. And that paint is getting a little bit on the thicker side, yeah. And that just means, you know, less thinner in the brush, not the just having less paint on the brush version. Okay. And I think we're pretty well set there on his back. Is there something going on here with this cloth that could potentially be more interesting? As in maybe cobalt blue a touch.
Who enters my domain?
Wait, oh, Dr. Faust. Dr. Faust in the house. Wait, there's a doctor in the house. We have a doctor in the house, folks. Thank you so much for the raid, and let's welcome in our raiders. Let's welcome them in with all of the really unusual things that are in the chat. The Works event has just rounded out their primers. But thank you so much, Dr. Faust, and folks that are here. I'm pretty sure you're already following Dr. Faust, but if you're not, be sure to drop him a follow too. It doesn't cost anything. There we go. Works event. And showing loyalty to Mordor, of course. I mean, come on. Gotta show that Mordor love.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Oh, thank you so much for the follow, Kim. We'll just go with a Kim. A Kimbatimbo. That's a very fun screen name, I have to say. I know mine is quite boring by comparison. So we have been working with oils here, and we've got several figures underway. I'm just going to get this one out of harm's way here. So this one of the things that was required was to have tattoos all over half his body, and yes, it is all wet oils. We've got these 4 figures that we've all been working on right here. We're doing some object source lighting here, also in oils. Could we not? Could we not? So that object source lighting that you see is going to look a little bit like what we've got here on our sisters. These were also done with oils. So ultimately, you'll see something that looks a little bit more like that. Good guys just want to do things. Bad guys have reasons and plans. Yes, indeed. Now, the oil paints, this is another one. This is actually the very first one. You can watch this up on YouTube now. So the marble done with oils, all our metallics done with oils, freehand done with oils, and the OSL all in one sitting, just like we're doing here. This is not multiple where it's dried or whatever. This is all entirely wet oil paints. If I took this sponge and I went like this, all of this paint's going to come off, every last bit of it. We're not going to do that because, well, as we welcome in Valendar the Red, I kind of like that paint to stay there because, especially since it is a commission thing, and we'd rather not have to repaint that again. Oh, thank you, thanks. I have kind of the unhealthy obsession with the object source lighting, the non-metallic metals, and freehand. At least that's what people tell me. I don't think it's unhealthy whatsoever. But they do tell me, man, you and your crazy object source lighting, you're always doing that. To me, actually, it's really neat because it makes the miniature seem a little bit bigger than it actually is. It seems like it has just more flavor to it when you do that. Yeah, I'm gonna get some indigo in here. That's it. Yep. When in doubt, go darker. Also, when in doubt, go lighter. Let's see. That's why I like 40K. Everybody's the bad guy. And I think we've got, let's see. I think we're all caught up on the chat. So again, all of this, all of the metals here, you got some purple in there, you've got your greens, some turquoises, all of those fun colors. Basically, the oils is what makes that possible because you can do all the fun wet into wet. And the oil paints they're just your standard store-bought oil paints mixed with a high-quality thinner until they're about the consistency of miniature paint. And that is what you see me using right now. Let's see, Ace, the fine line of the tattoos. Oh, thank you so much. I know I've talked about it several times here. The small lines and everything. It's easier to do them with oils because oils is thinner than water. Because here's another. Now this one's bigger too. So this was done actually with this was all painted mostly with contrast paints mixed with lighter colors. And it was harder for me to get this bigger pattern here than it was to do this in oils, over wet oil paint. That's the thing that's really intrigued me. The thing that I didn't expect about oils. Now, this is another, oh, here we go. So this was also painted with oils. And this was all painted in one session. So it is about 2.5 hours, something like that, painted this guy up. And you can see all of these really nifty, fun blends, but you can see there's some nice little freehand in here. You got your little touch of object source lighting in places. And over here too. And look, you got your nice sharp edges here and everything else. So you can really do some fun things with the oils. It never ends. I mean, it quite literally never ends, the possibilities that I keep discovering with these darn oil paints. Now let's get maybe a little bit of lighter skin tone here on his lip as we welcome in a raid. We've got Opaque Shadow with a raid. Thank you so much for the raid. And I hope that you also had a really fun stream, or at least a productive stream. Because some streams, well, you maybe don't have quite so many people there, but you actually get a whole lot of work done. And either type is okay. Now we're going to really add some fun extra green into a skin tone here. So we're going to throw this here. We are going to take our blending brush, and yes, for all of the new coming raiders, we are working with oil paints. All of this is wet oil paint. And I just put more wet oil paint on top of wet oil paint. And we're going to blend this. Going to use our separate little blending brush here. Just trying to get a little bit of a greenish tone into that skin, into the mid-tones. We got Kingfisher Games. How are you doing? He literally made affiliate today, so congrats.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Well, then congratulations are in order for Opaque Shadow. And that, well, we can give him some more follows here and hopefully set him on that path to partner, which I know that is a very difficult, that's a very difficult thing to get to. Amazon or Twitch/Amazon tries to make it as hard as they can for you. But congrats on your achievement. Hey, that means in your stream manager you get all those little the confetti. Yes. Confetti, all that kind of fun stuff. So congratulations. Oh yeah, no, that's you can either you can shout out yourself or shout out the others. That is fine. We like to try and support our other streamers and such with their with shout outs and other things. Now this is my burnt umber edge. Just a little bit of white in here, maybe a little more. And I just want to get a touch here. That's it. Then we got to do something over the top edge of that. Here is where our lovely little synthetic quad zero is going to be really helpful. Right on that top edge. There. What's going to happen with this cloth? Something's going to happen. It's either going to be darker or lighter. I'm going to start off with darker. We will take a little bit of indigo. We're going to take a little bit of our raw umber, which is more of a greenish umber. This has been thinned slightly with our thinner, and boom, that's looking a little bit more. Yes, that's better. That just needed to be darker. Then we'll go back with this lighter green and just hit in a couple of spots, and that's good enough. When in doubt, simplify. Always simplify. Just like we did here. Not a lot of layers. Just like take a color, drop it in there, push it around. Let's see. Opaque Shadow has to head off. Well, thank you very much, and congratulations. Oh, and thanks for the official shout out there. Oh, let's get a little bit of reflected light. Now we've got to go the other way here. We're going to grab some of that indigo. We need a darker edge here on his armored clogs. Crazy freaking armored clogs. But that, there we go. And I suspect we need some darks in our metals here. We've got too much lights and middle tones. Guess what? We'll make it darker. Are we gonna make? Yes, we will make some more darks on the shoes, but we're gonna go more with the umber. I never really thought that the fine detail stuff. I went from thinking, well, you really can't do it with oils, probably not, to, wow, you can do some, to, oh my gosh, it's way easier in oils. To the point where I was trying to do some detailed stuff with acrylics last night, and I went, man, this is way harder than it's got to be.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Thank you so much for the follow, Don Mac. It's appreciated. Ooh, we've got a little bit of our purple matter over here. We're going to grab some of that. Where's this? Yeah, in between his fingers over here. We want to, yes, there we go. Boom. Perhaps over here too. Not because it's that much darker. It's actually just it's a little bit more of an intense dark. It has some actual color to it instead of it just being dark. Sometimes actual color goes a long way. Now this thing here, I'm going to take some of that cadmium yellow if I can. That's the cadmium yellow.
Hello,
tasty.
little hobbit, spark my ganja.
Thank you so much for the follow, Extreme Moderation. And I really love that name. That is a fantastic screen name. It's so appropriate. Extreme moderation in all things. Extreme moderation in ice cream, definitely. Extreme moderation in other tasty beverages, perhaps. Is the tattoo work freehand? Oh yeah. Basically, the person wanted half of his body covered in tattoos, head to toe. So we did the tattoos on his legs, a little bit on his face too, and then around his arm, going back that way, and all done with the wet oils, over wet oils, of course. Just because you can do that. I'm gonna get a little bit of the magenta in. Oh, what the heck? We're gonna put some of that here too. A little touch of it on the underside of his armored clogs. I'm just having way too much fun talking about those armored clogs. And now I'm going to go back to, this is that cobalt blue with a little bit of my white in there, and now our cobalt violet with a little bit of the kind of cerulean blue mix in it. There we go. Then, now this is actually going to have to be thicker, not thin down at all. Let's see, next on ESPN Extreme Moderation. Let's see, every time I come into this channel, blow the socks off, and I wasn't even wearing any in the first place. Well, I'm pretty sure in most parts of the world it seems like it's way too freaking hot for socks anyways. So it's a good thing you did not have those on. Oh, you know what? Let's find a little spot over here for our less thinned titanium white. And I'm just looking for a couple of dots here. That's it. Yes, needed those. Needed those. And this guy, I still don't know what actually company makes this, or if it might even be a 3D printed miniature. I mean, it could be. Well, I guess all miniatures are 3D. However, I will try and find out tomorrow who makes this, and then when it comes time to, well, I can even put it in the VOD description. Oh, yes, and folks, fun fact, which I've just kind of discovered by accident, and well, obviously I don't know when, if or when I'll be able to do the partner thing. It doesn't really matter as far as permanent VODs go, because if you do a highlight, which seems to be permanent, you can have those be as long as you want them to be. Because I just made a highlight earlier today that was something like 4 hours long or 5 hours long. So they're practically, I mean, I could literally just take this entire session here and make this a highlight, which you guys could watch on the Twitch channel here to your heart's content. So that is just something that I've discovered over the last week and a half, as I keep making my highlights longer and longer and longer. Let's see. You're not relaxed enough to go to war without your armored clogs. And in his PJs and slippers. He has his, yeah, I mean, I can't tell if he's wearing socks or not. Well, the next thing you know, Pascal has mustered the Rohirrim. Yes, indeed, the Rohirrim has been mustered. Thanks, Pascal. And actually, that's someone else that you want to follow, too. Now, these were actually painted in oils, by the way. These were some of the very first sessions that I ever did on Twitch. These guys, right? And you can see we've got Freehand there. We've got Freehand over there. Let's see. Thanks again, Pascal. This is reminded me of your one barbarian lady that you did, that really fun bust with all of the tattoos and such. So folks, give Pascal a follow if you're not already doing that, because well, talk about the fun stuff. He does all of the fun stuff like that. And obviously the your Star Wars trooper, she was really a trooper. That's for sure. She was quite the trooper. I'm gonna get me some more darks in just a couple of areas, like right here. Yeah. We're gonna enhance this dark over here. And oh, and Orchrist is still. I have highlights on my history that are 42 hours long from 4 years ago. Yeah, that I just thought for sure, because they say, well, make your highlights this long. So I thought that's how long they could be. Well, now that I know, yeah, I'm just gonna have full-on freaking highlights now. Oh, and folks, again, for the new folks that are in here that aren't also following Orchrist Gaming, you need to follow Orchrist. You will have lots of fun there, just like in Pascal's. Now, oh, Pascal, are you going to be streaming in the wee hours again this morning? Well, wee hours for me, mid-morning, darn near lunchtime for you. Now, Orchrist has to take off. Now, thanks again. Thanks again for the raid and for hanging out. Hopefully it has been fun. I forgot there's a buckle over here. Actually, there's two buckles over here. There's a couple of them. Okay. Yeah, we'll get a little touch more light on that skin. Not going to do too much down there. Let's see if I can't maybe tinge these a bit more towards something that's not just a metal color here. There we go. Yeah, just a little something right there. Now, it was a 72-hour marathon that was disconnected in the middle. Oh, yeah, I've had a bunch of those. Especially, well, always in my wee hours of the morning sessions. But maybe in the European evening hours. Okay. About to go prep my class after the holidays. Yeah, let's do a bit more. Yeah. I think that could also use a touch of that orange too. So folks, yeah, be sure to follow Pascal so you can get those alerts too. Which means it would be, that's the evening there. That should be afternoon here. Yeah, I'm gonna get a little bit of orange there into that gold. I think, yeah, that pretty much takes care of it. This is just a chunk of yellow there. Let's see if we can't make that a little bit more orange. A little bit more lights in his hair. Can't tell if he's wearing an earring there or not. There's just some kind of material there, so we'll just give it a couple of whatever. Maybe it's just flyaways. I don't know. I think I'll also bring out his beard. So he's got his... That was the two things. His red hair and tattoos over half his body. And what's really hilarious is that this is... It doesn't even have any shine to it at all. It just looks that dry. Which is just, to me, so funny and hilarious. Again, I'm amused by little things. When we were working on our big long, was this 9.5 hour stream where we painted all of these horsies here. And we'll back out so we can see this whole deal. And you can still watch this. Here, let's not have these guys in the line of fire here. But we painted all of these horsies. We tried to get a couple of new horse breeds in here too that we haven't tried with the oils before. These are all done with the oils. See lots of fun blending going on. And this was a neat one too. Just again, looking for some different colors. I think that's now the third unit that I have painted so far. Let's get a little bit closer on our dude here. Pascal, it was such a simple thing. It was cork, it was bark, a little bit of gravel, some crackle paint, and then hitting it with the Green Stuff World, those liquid pigments, which is really neat because they're acrylic, and they actually do give you that powder texture. I thought there's no way. No, that's just another one of those crazy claims. It's not actually true. But, I mean, I've used them a couple times now. They certainly do. It just started raining out of nowhere. Oklahoma, Central Standard Time. Yeah, I'm hoping that, well, that probably won't necessarily happen here because now it's in the 60s. Because we went from 90s to 60s.
So say we all. So say we all.
Thank you so much, Dealey. And I think I've already mispronounced your name once before. So if I've done it again, I do apologize. Geez, we've actually been doing this for over 4 hours. My goodness. How time flies when you're having oil painting fun. But thank you so much for the subscription. All of these things really do help because like we talked about kind of early at the top of the show, I've been able to snag some more different brands of oil paint because I basically have only, outside of the Marion Street, I've only used these. Oh, thank you, Pesca. Oh, we got to get some Peleus dancing around here. There he is. Look, he's going to catch it. He is going to catch that until this dude just chases him away and says, those are mine. He says, man, come on. Give me some of that. But we've got, these the only ones really is just Winsor Newton and those Marion Street. We've got, I think, 3 different brands of oils coming here. I know for at least 2. So we have Gamlin and then another, it claims to be a hand-mixed oil paint. We'll see. It could be horrible and no good at all. Oh, it's appreciated, Pascal. It really is. Well, after being with the YouTube thing for so long, and just kind of bashing my head against CPMs and CTRs and all that other kind of stuff, the whole Twitch thing has just been all around such a relief. So much more fun and just so much more productive. Which is why all the Twitch videos just end up on YouTube. Now, I think we've got ourselves some healthy shadows going on here. Next question is what's going to happen with this stuff here? That's where my olive green, I think, is going to come back. And we're just going to give that a touch of mid-tones here. Maybe a touch lighter. A touch lighter. Now, I will be, actually, let's see. I think maybe you got to see that storm bust that we painted in oils. Where did she go? She's over here. You can paint the little tiny things, and you can paint the big things with the oils. It was so much fun, like that magenta that's in her cheek right there. We just literally took one of these big old brushes and we just stippled that in there while it was still wet. Now you can see that you got the greens here in her skin tones. You can see all the different stuff going on. And then, of course, to make our nice little light source off to the side. And then, of course, well, stuff like this. This was painted entirely in oils, all wet, from start to finish, including the streaking, the chipping, all that kind of stuff was done. Oh, and him too, now that he just fell off, our tank commander, our intrepid tank commander. we have a area division down. I'll grab me something to drink real quick here. Don't mind me. Ooh, we gotta get some of our blue down here. Now let's see. What really kills me about the nitro glove shortage is I have no idea what people are using them for. You know what? That's one of the reasons why I started having no glove, because I couldn't find the darn things. I was recycling the same 3 or 4 gloves trying to do my 3D printing. I mean, talk about the last thing that I want to be doing with, like, recycling the same gloves over and over again. That was horrible. And I don't know, well, whatever the reason is, it really is definitely making life difficult for anyone that's involved, well, in 3D printing or whatever. That's for sure. Yeah, and I don't see them wearing them either. Ah, well, they're balloons. Well, thanks, Pascal. Thank you so much for the sub and everything, and I hope that, well, maybe I'll actually get to catch you then later tonight if you're doing your live thing. Well, later tomorrow, I mean, because it'll be tomorrow for me. Yeah, it's still, no, it is tomorrow. Never mind. Don't mind me. Yeah, let's get a little bit more of our magenta. Why? Because I would like to sort of indicate that maybe there's a bit of reflected light going on here. Now, you can't really see what's going on down here, so that's just going to be an impression of it there. It's just there. We'll just have to believe it's there. The happy little shadow, it's there. That's where it lives. And speaking of shadows, we're going to get another shadow in there. I swear this thing is 3D printed. Like kind of the older style of 3D printing. It's either that or the primer that this was sprayed with is extra grainy. It could go either way. The alcohol isn't too bad anymore. You can just use methyl hydrate. Yeah, now I was able to actually it took me a month and a half just to find spools for the FDM printer. That's one of the reasons why I ended up going with the Ender or the Elegoo instead of the Ender, as far as using them first. I was supposed to actually be doing terrain prints. There's a couple of darks in here. Yeah. This is that detail stuff that is so much easier with the stupid oils. It's unbelievable. Yeah, we don't know. That's why I'm complaining. Okay, we got another situation here. We either have to separate this value-wise or color-wise in here. I want to see. See what happens if I take some yellow ochre over here with this green. What's going to happen there? Okay. So it's not like that's any darker, it's a different color now. That color contrast as opposed to zoink. So let's look at what he seems to be in black and white there. Plenty of shading. All kinds of nifty shadows, highlights, midtones, everything. But just look at the sword, and then as we bring back that color, you start to see all those colors emerge again in his sword. Yeah, look at that. Nice turquoises and everything else.